Chapter 166. Baya knew that he had misunderstood. I'm talking about you and your fiancé. Baya regretted it the moment she said it. After he and his fiancé got married, they should have a baby. Shouldn't they have a baby? Gu Lingqing looked at her quietly and didn't say anything. His eyes were too deep. Baya didn't dare to look at him directly. She felt very awkward and didn't know how to explain. Gu Lingqing let go of her. Baya immediately stood up and stayed 2 meters away from him, guarding against him. Maybe it was because she hadn't had lunch and she was exercising, but her stomach was growling. Gu Lingqing seemed to know what she was thinking. Have you had lunch? Baya couldn't deny it. I left in a hurry. I didn't have time. Gu Lingqing made a phone call. Go to the restaurant and ask the chef to make 4 dishes. Gu Lingqing looked at Baya. Is there anything in particular that you want to eat? Baya felt that her mouth was bland. She wanted to eat something with a strong taste. Is there a fish head with chopped peppers, spicy chicken, duck blood curd and so on? Gu Lingqing frowned slightly. You like spicy food? Baya shook her head. I just want to eat it now. Ask the chef to make fish head with chopped peppers, spicy chicken, tomato eggs, and winter gourd ribs. That's all. Gu Lingqing hung up the phone after giving the order. Baya sat down on the sofa and waited for the food. Gu Lingqing didn't say anything. She looked at the computer again and worked. She was a little bored, so she picked up her phone and casually browsed the web. She was quiet, looking as if she was enjoying the peaceful time. Gu Lingqing's eyes were on her face. He seemed to be thinking about something. Baya saw a piece of news. It said that the police rescued more than 200 children in Dragon City and appealed to their families to claim them. Her eyes darkened. If her and Gu Lingqing's child is still alive, it should be 5 years old. Will her baby be among the rescued children? Back then, Su Jiran had said that he had some clues. More than 3 years had passed, but he had not found anything. Otherwise, according to his personality, he would have come to negotiate with her. Is Longqing not too far away from Pingyuan City? Baya looked up and asked Gu Lingqing. Because she was immersed in her own thoughts, she did not notice the deep look in his eyes. Even if she noticed it with Gu Lingqing's unfathomable abilities, she wouldn't be able to tell anything. The high-speed train will take more than half an hour. What's wrong? Gu Lingqing asked. Baya nodded. After this case was solved, she wanted to go to Longqing's Public Security Bureau to try her luck. Just asking. Gu Lingqing looked at the computer screen again. Baya sat on the sofa in a daze. When her baby was born, she saw it, and it didn't look like her. The baby's biological father was Gu Lingqing. If the baby didn't look like her, would it look like Gu Lingqing? Knock, knock, knock. There was a knock on the door. Baya came back to herself and went to open the door. The soldiers outside the door each brought a dish over. Gu Lingqing closed the computer and put it on the coffee table. The table was empty, and he said to the soldier, Go get 2 bottles of drinks. Do you have beer? Baya asked the soldier. The soldier looked at Gu Lingqing. Go get a few bottles of beer, Gu Lingqing ordered. Yes. The soldier retreated from the room. Baya sat next to Gu Lingqing and used disposable chopsticks to eat some steamed fish head with diced hot red peppers. It was fresh, salty, and spicy. I haven't eaten steamed fish head with diced hot red peppers for a long time. The steamed fish head with diced hot red peppers I make is very delicious. I'll make it for the chief someday, Baya said casually. Gu Lingqing's expression looked calm, but there was some joy in his eyes. Did you cook for me before? Yes. Baya was in a good mood today, so she was more talkative. When I go back, I can make a few dishes that I'm good at. I've never had a good appetite, Gu Lingqing said in a deep voice. Baya looked at Gu Lingqing and couldn't help but care for him. She blurted out, Why not? It's been like this since I left the hospital. There are many things to do, and my memory has been blank for many years. There are many things that I need to adapt to. For example, adapting to being the chief of a special military unit. The central government is also against it. Those who are capable will survive. I need to prove that I have the ability and courage. I also need to understand the complicated relationships between people. For example, my fiancé. Everyone told me that I love my fiancé very much. Gu Lingqing stopped abruptly and didn't continue. In fact, he had already said a lot. He didn't know why, but he trusted Baiya. Baiya lowered her eyes. She didn't experience it, but she could feel it if she thought about it with her brain. A chief who lost his memory, he also lost his experience, strategy, and that graceful courage. He was in a high position, so there would definitely be many people who opposed him. In order to prove that he still had the ability, he needed to put in a lot of effort. Especially Su Xiaoling's existence. That was equivalent to a lie. The ones who lied to him were his family, friends, and everyone he used to trust. It must be very difficult for him to survive in a lie. Baiya's heart ached for him. It was no wonder that he had become so harsh, heartless, cold and ruthless. The soldiers brought 12 bottles of beer, 2 glasses, and a bottle opener. Baiya opened a bottle of beer and poured it for him. Gu Lingqing held her hand and looked at her with eyes as dark as ink. Can you tell me the real reason why we broke up? Baiya looked at Gu Lingqing. She didn't want to lie to him anymore. Otherwise he would be too pitiful. But she also didn't want to push him to hell. The arrangement of fate. Baiya said ambiguously. Gu Lingqing's eyes dimmed, and he drank up the beer in the glass. You still refuse to tell me. Baiya, what do I have to do to pry open the secret in your heart? The past is like the wind. You really don't have to be so stubborn. If you can, you should try your best to climb up and stand at the highest peak of the world. There is no weakness, and no one can hurt you. Baiya said meaningfully and also drank up the beer in the glass. She saw that Gu Lingqing still wanted to ask something, but she was afraid that she couldn't bear it. So she changed the topic and said, Leader, let's play a game. Do you know how to play the drinking game? Gu Lingqing could see that she was deliberately avoiding it, and he was a little annoyed. Drinking game is boring. Let's play cards. It's simple and straightforward. The loser drinks. What if I get drunk? Baiya was a little worried. If you get drunk and sleep, you will be sober by then. What are you afraid of? Don't you still have me? Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. Don't you still have me? This sentence was so familiar. It seemed that she had heard Gu Lingqing say it before. She looked at Gu Lingqing, and her eyes were sparkling. She was very moved, as if she had found the Gu Lingqing in her heart. Even if that Gu Lingqing would only appear for 1 or 2 seconds, it was enough to make her feel warm. Now she knew why she was still able to live on. Chapter 167. This was probably one of the main reasons why she was willing to compromise with the current Gu Lingqing. There was still a desire in her heart. It was hidden very, very deeply. But it wasn't that there was none. Alright, then let's play cards and draw randomly, right? Baiya asked about the rules. Gu Lingqing nodded and asked the soldier to get a deck of cards. He shuffled the cards and let Baiya draw. Baiya drew 1 card, and so did he. Gu Lingqing was very good at playing cards, and he almost never lost. Baiya was also very straightforward and drank directly. He was very careful, and he didn't play cards continuously. He always let her eat a little before playing again. She ate a lot, and drank a lot too. She was drunk. Baiya came out of the washroom, and she was already swaying. Again. She sat next to Gu Lingqing and said with half-closed eyes, No, you've already drunk enough. If you drink any more, it'll hurt your body. Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. Heh. Baiya laughed, and her eyes were sparkling. She sat on Gu Lingqing's lap and put her hand on his shoulder naturally. You care about me? Gu Lingqing pursed his lips and didn't say anything. Her eyes lingered on his face. Gu Lingqing, if you didn't forget about me, guess what would happen to us now? Gu Lingqing realized that she was really drunk. Her little face was red, and even her smile was a little simple and honest. What would happen? Gu Lingqing followed her words and said. Baiya broke into a smile and touched his soft lips with her middle finger. She was a little infatuated, and the words she said were very pessimistic. Nothing will happen, right? I'm not your type. You like Zhou Hailan. Gu Lingqing frowned and held her hand that was on his lips. You know Zhou Hailan? Baiya nodded, tears flowing from the corners of her eyes. Zhou Hailan, the cinnabar mole in his heart, the thorn in her flesh. Gu Lingqing saw her tears and felt a strange sadness in her heart. She wiped her tears with her fingertips and realized a possibility. Does my breakup with you have anything to do with her? Actually, it was unrelated, but it was related. It had nothing to do with the fact that she and Joe Hylan did not know each other. The two of them had appeared at different times in his life. When she first met him, there was a Joe Hylan in his heart. She could tell from his reaction when he saw Syahi. After he lost his memory, he forgot about her and remembered Joe Hylan. This was the direct cause of her suicide. Thinking of this, her heart ached. She didn't want to mention Joe Hylan anymore. Gu Lingqing, I don't like it when you keep testing me, Baya expressed. Gu Lingqing fell silent. The corners of Baya's mouth raised. Actually, I know that you keep me by your side, because you want to know about the past. You're drunk. Rest for a while. I'll wake you up when it's almost time for Pingyan. Gu Lingqing carried Baya and put her on the bed. Baya pulled him down and wrapped her arms around the back of his neck. She wrapped her arms around the back of his neck, and the distance between them was less than 10 centimeters. Gu Lingqing looked at her. Didn't you want to know what kind of positions we liked in the past? Baya asked. Gu Lingqing stared at her. Two little Baya were reflected in his deep eyes. She was smiling and crying. In her eyes, there was an emotion that he could not fathom. It was more like despair and nirvana. You're really drunk, Gu Lingqing said with a frown. Baya wrapped her legs around his waist and pulled him in. Gu Lingqing moved closer to her. He frowned slightly and looked into her eyes. This was a very normal action for her. The difference was that she took the initiative, liked and cooperated. This proved that they had really loved each other before. He should ask more questions while she was drunk. Those secrets that she wanted to hide might be blurted out because she was drunk. However, Baya's words just now flashed through his mind. Gu Lingqing, I don't like you to keep testing me. His heart tightened when he thought of how she cried. He lowered his head and kissed her lips. The drunk Baya was very passionate. She kissed him back, and would rub against him like a pitiful kitten, teasing him. When he wanted her, she would wrap her legs around his waist. This feeling was completely different from the previous few times when he was cold and passive. She was real now, lively and alive. He was very excited and his breathing was heavy. Sweat fell on her body along with his sharp and hard chin. He and she were almost at the same time. Her voice was soft and mellow. It was as beautiful as the sound of nature. He could feel the difference. There was a force of attraction that brought him into her world. Gu Lingqing lowered his head and kissed her lips. She opened her mouth slightly and breathed. Her eyes were unfocused. She was tired and fell into a deep sleep. Gu Lingqing got up. He knew that Baya liked to be clean. He helped her clean up before he went to the washroom to clean up. When he came out, Baya was still asleep and wouldn't wake up for a while. On the contrary, he was very clear-headed. He thought about every word Baya said and every expression she made when she was drunk. He had a feeling that they didn't break up. He lost his memory and had no choice but to separate. Baya woke up naturally. When she opened her eyes, she saw that Gu Lingqing was still sitting in front of the computer, working. The table had been cleaned up. Even the empty bottles were gone. She was drunk. When she was drunk, her last memory was of her going to the toilet. She would talk nonsense after she lost her memory. He was a little worried. What time is it now? Gu Lingqing looked at Baya. It's 9 o'clock. You woke up in time. Baya looked at his expression. She didn't notice anything strange. I didn't say anything nonsense, did I? Gu Lingqing's lips curled up. Is it nonsense to say what kind of position I like? Baya's face was flushed red. She didn't have to say that. That was too unreserved. Other than that, what else did I say? Baya had a bad feeling. Oh right. You didn't say it. You did it directly. Gu Lingqing corrected. Baya was dumbfounded. Her eyes were wide open as she sized him up, trying to determine if what he said was true or not. The main thing was that they had already done it once. Even if it happened again, she wouldn't feel any difference. Baya couldn't tell from Gu Lingqing's face. She asked in a low voice, what was it like then? Gu Lingqing didn't say anything. He changed the topic. Are you going with your partner or me? Baya saw that he didn't say anything. It should be fake. Her expression was much more relaxed. I'll go with my colleagues. It's not good to go alone. I'll go to the castle too. We'll contact each other when the time comes, Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. Baya got up and walked towards the door. Baya, you said that the position we like is not convenient for me to come out. You didn't have a birth control ring in the past. I don't think I like to use birth control products. Have we ever had a child? Gu Lingqing suddenly asked. Chapter 168. Baya knew that she had to be careful when talking to Gu Lingqing. He would be able to spot any mistakes or logical problems. She glanced sideways at Gu Lingqing. How can there be a child when we're in this position? We've only done it a few times. Gu Lingqing. He could sense a deep resentment in her tone. Could it be that he really did not satisfy her in the past? This made Gu Lingqing very uncomfortable. Baya went back to her carriage. Leng Qiuzuan's sharp gaze was scrutinizing Baya. It was as if he was looking at an X-ray, which made people shudder in fear. She only took a glance at Leng Qiuzuan and pretended that she did not see anything. She returned to her original seat. Where did you go? Leng Qiuzuan asked in a cold tone as if he was interrogating her. I don't think I need to report to you where I go, Baya said defensively. I'm your team leader now. I have the obligation to ensure your safety. You've been out for 6 hours. Even if you're chatting with someone, 6 hours is too long. Leng Qiuzuan furrowed his eyebrows. I'm not a child. Besides, I was on the train. Where could I have gone? Baya did not want to answer. That's why I'm even more curious. What could have taken 6 hours on the train? Leng Qiuzuan wanted to get to the bottom of it. My friend was there too, so I went to his place, Baya said ambiguously. What friend? Leng Qiuzuan asked matter-of-factly. Baya furrowed her eyebrows. You're the team leader of this case. Even if you're my superior, you have no right to interfere with my freedom to make friends. Mr. Leng, you think too highly of yourself. Leng Qiuzuan gritted his teeth and turned his face away with a ghastly pale face. His lips were pursed tightly. His assistant did not look well. Mr. Leng was definitely angry. Detective Bai, my husband is just concerned about you. He checked his mobile phone several times just to make sure that you're safe, said the assistant. Baya also felt that his tone was very bad. In the end, it was because he felt guilty, so he used the sharpness and strength of his words to cover it up. I'm sorry, Mr. Leng. Baya took the initiative to apologize. Leng Qiuzuan continued to ignore her. He was like a statue, not moving an inch. Baya glanced at him. She had already apologized, so it was up to him whether or not he wanted to forgive her. His phone rang with a message. She saw that it was from Gu Lingqing and clicked on it. If your colleagues ask you where you went, just say that I called you over to ask about the case. It's fine. Baya put her phone back into her bag. She had already said that she had met a friend. If she were to change her words now, it would be a slap to her face. Anyway, it was a small matter. Leng Qiuzuan adjusted his mood and looked at Baya, saying, Do you dare to sleep in the castle tonight? Baya looked at Leng Qiuzuan in surprise. The castle had always had a mysterious and murderous feeling. It was a little creepy and scary even in the daytime. To sleep there at night, this person was too bold. Leng Qiuzuan curled up the corner of his mouth sarcastically. Don't you dare? I heard that you used to be a doctor. Don't tell me that you also believe in nonsense like ghosts and gods. I just think that it will be more comfortable to sleep in a hotel, Baya explained. Leng Qiuzuan's face became even worse. Do you think that you are asked to come out to handle a case for comfort? I'm sorry, I have to finish this case in 3 days. I don't have time to waste. If you want to go to a hotel, go alone. In fact, I don't think you are needed, Leng Qiuzuan said sarcastically. Baya was speechless. It was as if it was an unforgivable sin for her not to stay in the castle with them. I know, Baya answered. Leng Qiuzuan looked away and said coldly, Useless. Baya was speechless. It would be rude to argue with him in front of him. She didn't need to convince him. She just needed to make up her mind. But she still felt creeped out. Baya sent a text to Gu Lingqing. Do you know Leng Qiuzuan? He's a very famous detective. He's now the team leader of this case. He wants us to sleep in that murderous castle tonight. Gu Lingqing sent a word. Baiya saw that it was only one word. It was simple and straightforward. There was a sense of loss in her heart. Her phone rang again. It was Gu Lingqing again. I've already arranged it. We will stay in the castle tonight. I'll bring 2 people in. Don't be afraid. Baiya couldn't help but smile. She instantly felt at ease. It was as if wherever he was, she would be safe. He gave her this feeling that he could protect her. Leng Qiuzuan snorted coldly. He said at a decibel that Baiya could hear. You're still a little girl. You pretend to be mature and capable. You report to your boyfriend every time something happens. Are you seeking comfort? Baiya looked at Leng Qiuzuan in disbelief. How did he know that she was snitching on him? However, her behavior really looked like she was seeking comfort from her boyfriend. Was Gu Lingqing her boyfriend? Baiya's heart beat faster. She blushed and looked out of the window. She looked like a little girl reflected on the window. Baiya sighed. She had finally walked out of the shadow. Was she going to fall back into it again? Soon, the train arrived at the station. Don't fall behind again. Someone from Pingyuan City is here to pick us up. They've arranged for supper. Leng Qiuzuan said to the air. Baiya guessed that he was talking to her. She analyzed Leng Qiuzuan from a psychological point of view. Arrogant, rude, arrogant, conceited, and condescending. Besides, he should know about her. He had a world. This world wouldn't be let in casually. He didn't talk to others. Occasionally, he would talk to her. He was so arrogant. It meant that he was still willing to let her into his world. It was just that he was still investigating. Baiya suddenly felt that Leng Qiuzuan was quite cute like this. She laughed. Leng Qiuzuan suddenly looked at her with a long face. What are you laughing at? Take a guess. Baiya didn't want to tell him. You're laughing at me, Leng Qiuzuan said very clearly. Baiya laughed even more brightly. Her eyes were curved. It's rare for me to be confused. Leng Qiuzuan gritted his teeth. You're really laughing at me. Baiya didn't reply to him. She walked in front. The people from the police station greeted them in a police car. The rotating lights on the police car were very bright. It was very easy to recognize. A strong man in the police uniform came forward and greeted Leng Qiuzuan. You're finally here. You must be hungry. Our chief has prepared a meal. Please follow me. Leng Qiuzuan responded coolly. There were a total of 5 of them this time. Each car had a driver and someone to pick them up. Baiya deliberately wanted to sit in a separate car from Leng Qiuzuan. She walked to the car at the back and sat in the back. Leng Qiuzuan sat next to her. Baiya. Chapter 169. Gu Lingqing didn't bring many people for dinner, only 2. The director said warmly. Thank you for coming here despite your busy schedule. Let me introduce you. Mr. Leng Qiuzuan, Assistant Leng, Ms. Baiya Xiaowang Xiaoli. After introducing the people on Baiya's side, the director introduced the people on Gu Lingqing's side. This is Mr. Gu, Mr. Zhang, and Mr. Cheng, who were sent by the military to investigate. Mr. Gu, Mr. Zhang, and Mr. Cheng? Baiya guessed that the director didn't know the real identity of Gu Lingqing. Leng Qiuzuan looked at Gu Lingqing but didn't greet him. Baiya was very guilty. The fact that she was the woman behind Gu Lingqing's back was hidden in the dark. Once it was exposed, there would be endless trouble. She was a little worried that Leng Qiuzuan would see through her, so she didn't greet him. The director saw that the people on both sides weren't polite and felt quite awkward. Sit down. Everyone must be hungry. Let's eat first. The group sat down. Baiya sat opposite Gu Lingqing. Leng Qiuzuan sat next to Baiya. Baiya's foot was suddenly clamped by 2 legs. She slightly frowned and looked at Gu Lingqing. He was calm and didn't look at her at all. He shook the red wine glass in his hand. This man could be so childish. Baiya pulled her foot out. We'll live in the castle after dinner. Can you help us prepare some sleeping mats? Leng Qiuzuan went straight to the point. You're going to live in the castle? The director was very surprised. We're here to solve a case, not to travel. The sooner we find out, the better. I have other things to do. Leng Qiuzuan said very firmly. Oh, that's fine. I'll arrange it now. However, I have to remind you that there are sometimes strange sounds coming from the castle at night. We locals don't dare to approach it. In fact, something happened to the castle before. The chief said. What happened? Gu Lingqing asked coldly. The bureau chief explained. We were afraid that it would cause a negative impact, so this matter wasn't reported in the newspapers. Previously, a few high school students were playful and ran in. Only one came out, but he went crazy. Have you found the children? Baya asked. The chief shook his head. We've sent a few bold officers to search during the day, but to no avail. They didn't even find a corpse. So, you guys have to be careful when you go in. Baya was an atheist, but he still felt creeped out after hearing about it. This was because she knew another thing. The most terrifying thing in the world was not ghosts and deities, but the human heart. Gu Lingqing kicked her lightly. Baya came back to his senses and looked at Gu Lingqing. It's better if girls don't stay in there, Gu Lingqing said. Baya knew that he was concerned about her. She felt a warmth in her heart. I'm so sure too. After all, girls are all cowards. They can just wait for news in the hotel, Lung Qiuzuan said sarcastically. Baya could tell that Lung Qiuzuan was deliberately targeting her. The warmth in her heart turned into coldness. No need. Let's go in together. I want to solve the case as soon as possible. After Baya said that, the atmosphere became strangely quiet again. The chief laughed dryly and said, Let's eat. Our pufferfish is very famous. We also have sori, which you can't find anywhere else. Baya had never eaten pufferfish before, so she picked up some and put it in her mouth. It tasted like furry pigskin. It tickled her tongue, so she spat it out. Not used to it? The chief asked with concern. Yes, Baya answered and didn't deny it. I've heard of Ms. Bai's name for a long time. I thought you were an old lady. I didn't expect you to be so young and beautiful. Do you have a boyfriend? The chief asked. This question made Baya feel quite awkward. Not yet, Baya said perfunctorily. Gu Lingqing was displeased and kicked her again. Baya frowned and added, I'm too busy with work. I don't think about it for now. Heh, Lung Qiuzuan sneered and looked at Baya with disdain. It was obvious that he didn't agree with her. Baya. She guessed that in Lung Qiuzuan's eyes, she was a person who couldn't be compared to what she appeared to be. She was annoyed for no reason and asked with a smile, Mr. Lung, you don't have a girlfriend either, right? What? You want to be with me? I'm sorry, but I don't like you, Lung Qiuzuan said arrogantly. Gu Lingqing's face looked even worse. When he looked at Baya, he was obviously angry. However, it was only for a moment. He hid it very well. Baya wasn't angry either. When it came to people like Lung Qiuzuan, she would lose if she was angry. Baya said with a smile, Mr. Lung, don't worry. I'm not blind among the people here. I'd rather like Mr. Gu than you. Lung Qiuzuan was angry. He looked at Gu Lingqing up and down, as if he was looking at his rival in love. Gu Lingqing was a little taller than him, a little stronger than him, a little better looking than him, calmer and more enigmatic than him. He suddenly frowned as if he had seen Gu Lingqing somewhere before. Hee. The chief's voice was dry. Eat. The chief's hospitality was quite generous. Well, Baya guessed that the chief only needed to sign the bill. Every unit like this had a hospitality fee. Therefore, the chief gave everyone a plate of bread crabs. The bread crabs were golden and covered with egg yolk. They looked delicious. I'll wash my hands first, Baya said and stood up. Poor and fastidious, Lung Qiuzuan said unhappily, as if he was deliberately trying to suppress her. Baya didn't know when she offended him. Because they were both famous, but he didn't have to go that far. Forget it. After this case, they probably wouldn't have a chance to meet again. Bear with it for a while, and everything would be peaceful. Baya went to the washroom, washed her hands and came out. Gu Lingqing stood by the wall and smoked. Baya wanted to pretend that she didn't know him and walk over. Gu Lingqing held her wrist. Baya was shocked. She was pulled into the men's washroom by him. Baya's heartbeat quickened. She lowered her voice and said, Gu Lingqing will be seen here. It's not good. Don't you have a boyfriend? Gu Lingqing questioned. Baya felt that his tone wasn't very good. Don't you know whether I have a boyfriend or not? Gu Lingqing looked at her fiercely. In the future, no matter who asks you, you must say that you have a boyfriend. Do you understand? He sounded like he was ordering her. Baya couldn't be bothered to argue with him. Got it. I have to go back now. They'll be suspicious if I'm late. Gu Lingqing lowered his head and kissed her hard on the lips. His breath was too strong, with the smell of tobacco, and the danger of a mature man. Baya was too nervous. Her nose was densely covered in sweat. She pressed against Gu Lingqing's chest, hoping that he would stop after a little taste. Gu Lingqing originally wanted to just kiss her, but after touching her soft lips he didn't want to stop after a little taste. The washroom's handle clicked. Baya was so shocked that her heart almost jumped out of her throat. Chapter 170. Gu Lingqing carried her into the last cubicle. The space was too narrow. She could feel his heartbeat when she put her hand on his chest. Thump, 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 thump. Suddenly, she felt a little sad and looked up at Gu Lingqing. At least he was still alive, wasn't he? She should thank God that it was only his memory that was taken away, not his life. However, what was the bitterness in her eyes? Was it unwillingness, sadness, or pity? Baya lowered her head. Her long eyelashes covered the real emotions in her eyes. She shouldn't have let him see it. That Mr. Gu's identity is very noble, right? Leng Qiuzuan's voice was heard. Yes, it should be. The higher-ups told us to listen to his orders, the director replied. Does he have a girlfriend? Leng Qiuzuan asked calmly and turned on the tap to wash his hands. I'm not sure. I don't even know who he is. How would I know if he has a girlfriend? The director said with a smile. This Mr. Gu is a lady killer. My assistant and Baya blush when they see him. Leng Qiuzuan said sarcastically and opened the door to go out. Baya. She blushed when she saw Gu Lingqing? Why didn't she know? Leng Qiuzuan's observation skills were too strong. She was very worried. Did you see me blush? Gu Lingqing asked with great interest. No, maybe it's because he drank a little. Leng Qiuzuan likes to talk nonsense. Baya denied. Gu Lingqing kissed her on the lips. Baya moved back. Gu Lingqing was unhappy and pinched her chin. Baya pushed Gu Lingqing's hand away and explained. We've been out for a long time. If we don't go back, people will suspect us. Without waiting for Gu Lingqing's reply, she opened the door and walked out with her head covered. When he returned to the private room, everyone was there except for Gu Lingqing. Leng Qiuzuan glanced at Baya. You were gone for a long time. I thought you had drowned in the washroom. Baya was a little embarrassed. Leng Qiuzuan had been targeting her. Do you have to care about the length of time? Baya said in a low voice, not paying attention to his tone. Leng Qiuzuan looked at her and met Baya's resentful gaze. There was even a tinge of shyness in her eyes. She was shy because Leng Qiuzuan said that Baya blushed when she saw Gu Lingqing. Leng Qiuzuan had a strange look in his eyes. He picked up the teacup beside him and took a sip. Baya ignored her and peeled the crabs herself. They were quite delicious. Leng Qiuzuan placed his crabs beside her. Baya looked at him in confusion. Help me peel them, Leng Qiuzuan said simply. Baya smiled. Where did he get the courage to think that she would help him peel them? Assistant Leng, this is for your husband. Sorry for the trouble. Baya passed the plate to Assistant Leng. Leng Qiuzuan's face darkened. Is this how you treat your boss? You're not my boss, Baya said bluntly. Leng Qiuzuan. Gu Lingqing came in from the door and sat opposite Baya. Does Mr. Gu have a girlfriend? Leng Qiuzuan asked directly. Because he was in a bad mood. Even his tone was not good. Gu Lingqing glanced at Baya. Yes, he said in a low voice. Baya's heart was beating very fast. No, Gu Lingqing did not only have a girlfriend, he had a fiancé. Baya's beating heart calmed down. That's a pity. Leng Qiuzuan smiled and glanced at Baya. Baya. This was the first time she saw Leng Qiuzuan smile. But why did he look at her when he smiled? It gave her a bad feeling. After dinner it was already 11 o'clock. The director ordered someone to bring 8 sleeping mats and 8 blankets. They set off to the castle together. The location of the castle was a little remote. It took more than an hour to drive from Pingyang City. Baya did not want to talk to Leng Qiuzuan, so she pretended to sleep the moment she got in the car. She had insomnia easily at night. Plus, she had slept during the day, so she really could not sleep now. Suddenly, she felt a hand on her shoulder. She did not know what he wanted. Lung Chiozuan used some strength. Baya fell on Lung Chiozuan's shoulder. Baya. She smelled the faint scent of cologne on his body, with a feeling that could confuse her mind. Should she pretend to be asleep or open her eyes? She did not open her eyes before. If she opened them now, it would feel very awkward. The car stopped at a red light. Gu Lingqing's car stopped next to Baya's car. He subconsciously looked into their car. When he saw Baya leaning on Lung Chiozuan's shoulder, his pupils shrank, and a sharp light shot out of his eyes. He picked up his phone and called Baya. Baya's phone rang. She was glad that someone called her, so that she woke up so naturally. Lung Chiozuan explained, "You fell on my shoulder yourself." Baya. She took out her phone from her bag and saw that it was Gu Lingqing's. Suddenly, she felt that she was not glad. She answered Gu Lingqing's call. "Did you not sleep enough during the day?" Gu Lingqing asked. His tone was heavy, as if he was depressed. Baya did not understand what Gu Lingqing meant at first, and subconsciously looked out of the window. She met Gu Lingqing's eagle-like eyes, and guessed that Gu Lingqing saw her leaning on Lung Chiozuan's shoulder, so she explained, "It won't happen again." "Wake up," Gu Lingqing said in a direct and commanding tone. Baya felt very guilty, as if she had done something bad and was found out. "I got it." She hung up the phone. The light was green. "Boyfriend checking up on me?" Lung Chiozuan asked, glancing at Baya from the corner of his eyes. "Mr. Lung likes to be nosy," Baya said, leaning back on the chair. "Didn't you say that you don't have a boyfriend?" "I don't know how women like you lie," Lung Chiozuan said coldly. "What I think has nothing to do with you," Baya said bluntly. Lung Chiozuan was furious, and he kicked the chair in front of him. Lung Chiozuan's assistant was sitting in the chair in front of him. The assistant's face turned pale. She knew that Mr. Lung did not like people criticizing him, so she immediately explained, "Mr. Lung never likes to be nosy. Mr. Lung is very responsible, maybe because Ms. Baya is a member of the team, so he cares a little more." Baya did not want to fight with Lung Chiozuan. After all, they still had to solve the case together, so she stopped while she was ahead. She changed the topic and asked the police officer who was driving, "How much longer until we arrive?" "More than half an hour. To be honest, you guys are really bold. There is one more thing that our director didn't tell you. In 2007, a creepy thing happened in this castle," the police officer said. "What creepy thing?" Baya asked. Chapter 171. People used to hear a woman's voice in the castle. Sometimes, it sounded like she was doing that kind of thing. Sometimes, it sounded like someone who had been abused and was screaming hysterically. Sometimes, it sounded like she was crying. Sometimes, it was a creepy laugh, like a female ghost, the policeman said. Lung Chiozuan's assistant shuddered. He was afraid. "Don't say any more." "I wasn't afraid at first, but after hearing you say that, I'm afraid too." "Did this happen before or after the disappearance of the young man?" Baya asked calmly. "It should be around the same time. The group of children heard the rumor that the castle was haunted, so they went in to take a risk. I didn't expect them to all die. The only one alive has gone mad," the policeman sighed. "How many young men went in?" Baya asked. 3. 2 are missing. We searched the entire castle, but we didn't find anyone." "Did you find any blood on the ground?" Lung Chiozuan asked suspiciously. The policeman shook his head. "No. That's why that place became a ghost castle. No one dares to go near it. That ghost castle is so dangerous. Why didn't they tear it down?" Assistant Lung complained. "That castle is a non-material cultural heritage," the policeman explained. "How is that possible? I've seen the castle before. It's European style. How did it become a non-material cultural heritage?" Assistant Lung was confused. "There's a legend about the castle. Back then, there was an emperor who hired a foreign artist called Lang Shining. He was an expert in architecture. There was a very rich eunuch in the palace. When he was about to retire, he spent a lot of money to buy a blueprint from Lang Shining. That eunuch was from Pingyan. After he returned, he built a castle in Pingyan. Legend has it that there are many treasures in the palace. However, many people went in to look for them, but they couldn't find them, the policeman explained. It's been so long. It should have collapsed by now. Why is the castle still standing? Assistant Lung asked suspiciously. The owner of the castle has been renovated many times. Strangely enough, the owner of the castle most likely died a mysterious death. Later, the country took over the house and made it an intangible cultural heritage. It is still preserved now. After the police officer finished speaking, Assistant Lung finally understood. He turned around and asked Lung Chiozuan in fear. Is there really a ghost in this castle? Lung Chiozuan curled his lips and said coldly, You don't have to go if you're afraid. When he said this, he looked at Baya. Can I really not go? Assistant Lung asked. She really didn't dare to go. That's fine. Lung Chiozuan replied indifferently. Then I won't go. Assistant Lung said with a hollow laugh. Detective Bai, if you're afraid and don't want to go, you can choose not to go. Lung Chiozuan deliberately provoked him. Baya really didn't want to be looked down upon by him. I didn't say I was afraid. Assistant Lung got out of the car at the entrance of an express hotel on the road. The carriage arrived at the castle gate. It was pitch black, and there were no street lights around the castle. Are there lights in the castle? Baya asked the police officer. There are lights, but because no one has lived here for a long time, the power has been out for a long time. There seems to be a generator inside, but I'm not sure if it's still working, the police officer explained. Baya furrowed her eyebrows. Wouldn't that mean that she would be in the dark? There was an uncontrollable fear in her heart. Unknowingly, Gu Lingqing had walked behind Baya and held her waist. He said in a low voice, Don't be afraid. Baya looked up at Gu Lingqing. Gu Lingqing had already moved his gaze away and let go of her waist. He said to Lung Chiozuan, Your men stay in the car first. We'll go in and turn on the generator before you go in. As soon as he finished speaking, he let his men in. Lung Chiozuan stood in front of Baya and watched Gu Lingqing's disappearing figure. He said thoughtfully, The people in the military are really swift and decisive. It's their responsibility, Baya added. Lung Chiozuan looked back at Baya and asked suspiciously, You admire soldiers? They deserve our admiration, Baya said without hiding it. Is it them or him? You know Mr. Gu, right? Lung Chiozuan guessed. Baya felt that this Lung Chiozuan was really smart. He really lived up to his reputation. He had very keen observation and insight. Baya didn't answer him directly. Let's compete to see who can find the murderer first. Lung Chiozuan turned around in disdain. The castle was lit up. But because of the age, many places still had those light bulbs from the 1980s, and the light they emitted was very weak. Lung Chiozuan led the rest of his men in. As soon as Baya stepped into the castle, a chilly wind with a moldy smell came to her nose. There was also a bad smell in the moldy smell, and she couldn't tell what it was. Everyone pick a room to stay in, Lung Chiozuan said, his eyes on Baya with a provocative look. Baya couldn't be bothered with him. She looked around the hall and asked Xiao Wang beside her, Which room did the victim die in? The first floor, the one beside the stairs, Xiao Wang said. Baya looked at the room beside the stairs. There seemed to be some shadows floating in the room. She couldn't help but hold her breath. Her heart was in her throat, and she stared at the door of the room and slowly walked over. Hey, Lung Chiozuan suddenly said, and it was especially loud in the quiet room. Baya was shocked. She held her heart and screamed. Gu Lingqing rushed out of the room beside the stairs and ran to Baya immediately. He asked worriedly, Are you okay? Baya came back to her senses. She knew who made that sound. She looked at Lung Chiozuan angrily. Are you crazy? Why are you scaring me? I thought you were brave, but you're just a paper tiger. I'm taking the room beside the stairs. No one can take it from me, Lung Chiozuan said arrogantly. Baya was too weak to complain about him, so she simply ignored him. She looked at Gu Lingqing and asked, Did you find anything inside? Gu Lingqing shook his head. There's no secret door, nothing special. It's just an ordinary bed, a table and 3 walls. There are no windows. I want to look at other rooms. Can you accompany me? Baya asked. Gu Lingqing saw that her face was pale from fear and had yet to recover. He couldn't bear it and nodded. You need someone to accompany you just to look at a room. What a coward. You're so timid. You shouldn't have come. But maybe you have ulterior motives, Leng Qiuzuan said in a strange tone. Baya couldn't understand why he always picked on her. Gu Lingqing glanced at Leng Qiuzuan. His eyes darkened. He hugged Baya's waist and pulled her to his side. He said meaningfully, Actually, I have ulterior motives too. Chapter 172. Baya looked at Gu Lingqing in surprise. She did not expect Gu Lingqing to say something like that. He seemed to be targeting Leng Qiuzuan on purpose. Moreover, there was a hint of ambiguity in his words that made her heart skip a beat. It made her feel that he was interested in her. Don't you have a girlfriend, Mr. Gu? I'm afraid this saying is not suitable for you, Leng Qiuzuan said sarcastically. You also know that I have a girlfriend. It's not appropriate to use this saying to describe Detective Bai, Gu Lingqing retorted. Leng Qiuzuan was speechless. He actually had nothing to say to that. Baya could tell that he was deliberately standing up for her. To be honest, she felt that Leng Qiuzuan was sharp-tongued. She had been angry with Leng Qiuzuan a few times, but she never got the upper hand. With Gu Lingqing's help, it was easy to trick Leng Qiuzuan. Gu Lingqing's ability to trick people was probably invincible in the world. Baya could not help but give him a thumbs up. The corners of her mouth lifted slightly. How boring. Leng Qiuzuan turned and walked to the second floor. Let's take a look at the kitchen first, Baya said. Gu Lingqing held her hand. His palm was very warm. She did not feel afraid when he held her hand. Although she knew that this was not right, she did not pull her hand away. The two of them walked into the kitchen. The kitchen was very big. There were 6 burrows in the stove, which could fit 6 pots. It was obvious that the owner of this castle used to be very luxurious and many people lived in this castle. Gu Lingqing opened the lids of the pots. The pots had not been used for a long time and were rusty. There were spider webs inside, but there were no spiders. Baya looked inside the burrows. There were some black clumps of dust. Due to the passage of time, the dust had hardened. Gu Lingqing removed the dust from the 6 pots in a sealed bag and wrote 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the bag. Baya looked at him. He explained to Baya, when we get back, I'll get the forensics department to check if these ashes are from the same period, and what period they were from. Baya smiled. Can you tell what period it is? If it could be tested, would antique ashes be worth anything? Gu Lingqing smiled as well. He felt that although Baya looked cold, the blood in her bones was warm. I didn't expect you to be such a money grubber. Just ask me how much money you want. Gu Lingqing said dotingly. Baya's heart raced as she lowered her head. He looked at her beautiful figure, lowered his head, and kissed her on the lips. Baya stepped back reflexively. Others will see it. Gu Lingqing held her waist and looked at her deeply. So what? Su Xiaoling, Song Shiyu, and Gu Tianheng flashed through Baya's mind. She felt a faint pain in her pinky finger. Don't be so overbearing. Baya couldn't control her tone. It sounded like she was complaining and disdainful at the same time. Gu Lingqing looked at her with a burning gaze. The two of them were in a stalemate. She pushed him away, but he didn't move. Footsteps sounded outside the door. Gu Lingqing let go of her and took a step back. Little Wang ran to the kitchen. Detective Bai, Mr. Leng wants you to go over. Baya thought that Leng Qiuzuan had found something. She followed Little Wang out and went to the first room next to the staircase. Someone used to stay in this room before, Leng Qiuzuan deduced. Baya looked around the room and walked to the window. The window was closed, but there were Boston ivy on the window, so she couldn't see outside. How did you know? Leng Qiuzuan locked Baya and said leisurely, Intuition. Baya was speechless. She resisted the urge to roll her eyes and walked out of the room. She looked at the ground, and an idea flashed in her mind. Gu Lingqing walked up the stairs at a leisurely pace. Every step he took was heavier than usual. Mr. Gu. What did you call me? Gu Lingqing was not satisfied with this form of address. Baya was in a difficult position. He was like a newborn calf who was not afraid of tigers. He didn't know what happened between them in the past. She didn't dare to expose their dark relationship. She might as well ignore the way he addressed her. Maybe someone used to live here. There's no dust on the ground. It doesn't seem logical. This is a remote area. No cars pass by here. The house is sealed and protected by a layer of Boston ivy. Naturally, there won't be much dust coming in. Your judgment is not accurate. Leng Qiuzuan walked out and refuted. But this place has been here for a long time. It will fall off naturally. Look at the ceiling. Baya pointed at the high ceiling on the third floor. The lights fell down vertically. Perhaps because the ceiling was too high, it was pitch black above and they couldn't see clearly. Baya turned on the flashlight on her phone and shone it at the ceiling. Gu Lingqing, help me. The words Gu Lingqing naturally slipped out of her mouth without any warning. Gu Lingqing looked at his subordinate with satisfaction and gestured to him. His subordinate took out a military flashlight from his backpack. It had a long range and was especially bright. It shone towards the ceiling. The ceiling looked like it was made of wood. It was triangular and not painted. Baya frowned and flipped through the photos. She looked at the castle, then looked around and looked at the photos of the castle again. She pointed at the top of the castle and asked Gu Lingqing, "What do you think this triangular top is made of?" "Green brick." "What's wrong?" Gu Lingqing asked, puzzled. "In other words, there's wood under the green brick. If the green brick leaks, the wood will mold, right? Look at the wood. Is it wood? Or fake wood?" Baya looked at the ceiling suspiciously. Usually lime powder, cement, or asphalt are used under the green brick to make it waterproof, Gu Lingqing said. He took the photos from Baya's hands and compared them with the built-in ones. His eyes narrowed. If Baya hadn't reminded him, he wouldn't have noticed the problem. Now he knew where the breakthrough was. "Baya, I've always suspected that there was a basement in this place. When the 3 teenagers came in, they were probably tied up there. One of them escaped, but the other 2 couldn't be found. Now I think I know where the secret room is," Gu Lingqing said. Baya pointed at the ceiling. "The secret room is not below, but on the roof." Gu Lingqing nodded. The people who came to check were deceived by their habitual thinking and eyes. There should be somewhere that leads to the roof. Leng Qiuzuan listened to their judgment and took the photos from Gu Lingqing's hands. He could see it now. Knock on the ceilings of all the rooms on the second floor. When you hear empty sounds, use weapons to pry them open. "That won't work. I think I know where the entrance is," Gu Lingqing said and led the way. Leng Qiuzuan looked at Gu Lingqing's back and narrowed his eyes. He was very unhappy. Gu Lingqing walked to the room at the end and let his phone take the escalator. He went up and pushed open the door at the end. Baya was very surprised. "How did you know that the entrance is here?" "I studied architecture and space. I compared the exterior with the interior and used the logic of the structure," Gu Lingqing said simply. "Is Mr. Gu in charge of building buildings in the military?" Leng Qiuzuan asked sarcastically. Chapter 173. "Baya, don't come up," Gu Lingqing said solemnly. He scanned the situation inside and his eyes became sharper and sharper. Baya was puzzled. "What's wrong? What's up there?" "I told you not to go up, so don't go up. You talk too much nonsense." Leng Qiuzuan pushed Baya away and went up the escalator. He had a lot of experience in solving cases, and when he saw the scene inside, his face was also very ugly. Little Wang followed him up the escalator. Not long after, he quickly came down the escalator and supported himself against the wall to have sex. Baya wanted to go up, but 2 of Gu Lingqing's men stopped Baya. "Sir told you not to go up." "I'm not afraid," Baya said and was about to go up. Leng Qiuzuan came down from the escalator and called the police. Gu Lingqing also jumped down from above. "What's the situation?" Baya asked Gu Lingqing. "I took a quick look just now. There should be 6 bodies on it," Gu Lingqing explained. 6? Shouldn't there be 2 of them? I'll go up and take a look. Gu Lingqing held Baya's arm. "We've found the body. Let's use DNA to determine who it is, and see if we can find out the time of death. Let's go back to the hotel and reorganize the case. Are you worried that I can't see the body? Don't worry. When I was abroad, I came into contact with dissection. I won't be afraid. Baya wanted to go up and take a look. I advise you not to go up. Lung Chiozuan warned after the call ended. I want to go up. I used to be a doctor. What kind of blood haven't I seen? Baya insisted. Gu Lingqing looked at Baya. She was not only cold, arrogant, but also stubborn. I'll go with you. Gu Lingqing took the military flashlight from his subordinate, adjusted the shape of the speed of light, and placed it in the middle of the secret room. The secret room was suddenly brightly lit. Baya prepared himself mentally and climbed up the escalator. There was some distance between the escalator and the entrance. Gu Lingqing reaches out to her. For a moment, Baya recalled the past. That was how he held out his hand to her. This time, she wanted to go alone. She didn't hold Gu Lingqing's hand and climbed up by herself. Gu Lingqing's face was a little pale. She saw that there were many glass jars in the secret room. Looking from near the exit, the largest glass tank was as tall as a person. There was a yellowish-brown liquid inside, as well as a naked man and woman. Baya looked at the woman's face. Gu Lingqing, that woman is the one in the video. Gu Lingqing recognized it at first glance. He was worried that Baya would be afraid, so he hugged Baya's waist and said softly, I will always be by your side. She was not afraid. She had seen this many times in the laboratory. She had seen much bloodier scenes in the United States. However, she didn't pull Gu Lingqing's hand away. She looked at the people in the glass tanks and analyzed. The woman had injuries on her body, neck, and limbs. Her private parts had been injected with something like a foaming agent. She was tortured to death and placed in a glass jar. If we're lucky, we might still be able to find it in her body. If we are lucky, we might find male DNA in her body. The man's face is bruised and swollen. His eyes are wide open, and his abdomen is bulging. He was thrown into the glass tank when he was alive. She looked at the two glass tanks next to her. They were the dismembered bodies of a man and a woman. In the last terrarium was a woman and a newborn baby. The murderer is very cruel, Baya judged. Let's go down. In a while the police will come over to take photos. We can study the details of the photos, Gu Lingqing said. Baya nodded. Did you notice? This secret room looks very clean. This should be the scene of the crime. The forensics department will find more clues and evidence here. By the way, Gu Lingqing, I remember that the ceiling is triangular, but this place is indeed flat. Could there be a compartment? Baya guessed. You and I have the same thought. I also guess that there is a compartment. We'll let the police handle it later. Gu Lingqing went down the escalator first. Baya climbed down carefully. Before she reached the ground, Gu Lingqing carried her and placed her on the ground. He actually carried her in front of so many eyes. Baya's heart raced, but she quickly calmed down. Lung Chiozuan looked at Baya's calm expression. You're not afraid? Are you still a woman? Weren't you afraid when you scared her on purpose? Gu Lingqing retorted. Why are you always protecting her? Lung Chiozuan was displeased. I think it's the same reason why you keep picking on her. Gu Lingqing threw the question at him casually. Lung Chiozuan was speechless. He crossed his arms and looked at the Patek Philippe watch on his wrist. He said to Gu Lingqing coldly, It's already 2:20 in the morning. It will take about an hour for the police to arrive. There's important evidence here, and it needs to be guarded by my team. Do you want to come down, or do you want your team to stay? Gu Lingqing looked at Lung Chiozuan deeply. My team can stay. Mr. Lung can go back and rest. Then I'll leave this place to you. Baya, let's go. Lung Chiozuan turned around and walked down the stairs. Baya looked at Gu Lingqing, nodded, and followed behind Lung Chiozuan. Gu Lingqing held her arm and said in a low voice, Send me the name and room number of the hotel when you check in. Baya. Why did she have a feeling that he would find her in the middle of the night? I'll go first. She did not answer him directly. She had a feeling that if this went on, their affair would be exposed. She did not dare to expose it. Moreover, She did not know whether Gu Lingqing cared about her because she was useful for him to recover his memory or for other reasons. She was really afraid of falling in the same place again. Baiya went out of the castle and got into the car. The four of them sat in the same car. Baiya and Leng Qiuzuan sat in the back. She was about to close her eyes and rest when Leng Qiuzuan suddenly turned around and put his hand next to her, enveloping her in his arms. Baiya was shocked and pressed against his chest. "What are you doing?" Leng Qiuzuan narrowed his eyes. "Are you very attractive?" Baiya guessed that he was talking about Gu Lingqing, and her face blushed slightly. She did not want her relationship with Gu Lingqing to be exposed. Leng Qiuzuan was too observant. "I've been married, divorced, and even had a child. I have no confidence in love, and I don't want to be in a relationship. No matter how many women there are, they are all rotten ones to me." "Then you should regulate your behavior. Don't be like a butterfly, showing off everywhere." Leng Qiuzuan returned to his seat and frowned again. He looked at Baiya. "You've really had a child before?" "Yeah." Baiya did not deny it. "She's an old woman." Leng Qiuzuan muttered to himself. "Baiya." She checked into the hotel, took a shower, and saw Gu Lingqing sitting on the sofa in her room. Baiya. Chapter 174. Why are you here? Baiya asked in surprise, rubbing her wet hair with a towel. Gu Lingqing got up, took the towel from her hand and dried her hair for her. He said in a deep voice, "I asked you to send me a message. Did you ignore my words?" Baiya could tell that he was unhappy. She had never thought of sending him a message. She wanted to have a good rest tonight. But he was already here. If she said that she didn't want to send him a message, wouldn't she die faster? "I was going to send it to you after I took a shower. I smell bad." Baiya found an excuse and glanced at the washroom. "Do you want to take a shower too?" Gu Lingqing threw the towel on the chair and looked at her. Baiya pursed her lips and didn't say anything. The more she said, the more mistakes she would make. "I'll believe you." Gu Lingqing walked towards the washroom. Baiya watched him walk into the washroom. She invited him to take a shower just to be polite. She didn't expect Gu Lingqing to really take a shower here. He wouldn't be sleeping here tonight, would he? If Leng Qiuzuan saw it, her high-sounding words yesterday would be a slap in the face. She walked to the washroom and asked, "Are you staying in this hotel too? Is your luggage here?" Gu Lingqing opened the washroom door. Baiya was shocked and looked into his deep eyes. What's wrong?" "I'm staying here tonight. My luggage is in the car. My soldiers will bring it to me later. What else do you want to ask?" Gu Lingqing said generously. "Well, don't you think it's inappropriate for you to stay here? It won't be good if someone finds out. After all, you have a fiancé." Baiya tried to persuade him. Gu Lingqing looked down at her, and her face was reflected in his eyes. "I've been engaged to Su Xiaoling for more than 3 years. Do you think I'll marry her?" Baiya was stunned for a moment and looked at Gu Lingqing. He didn't let her see clearly as he closed the bathroom door. Baiya stood firmly at the door and lowered his eyes. There was a sour and bitter feeling in his heart that flowed in his blood. The valve of memory was also opened. She used to think that Gu Lingqing loved her. Even though she knew that he raped her 6 years ago and hurt her, she could still choose to forgive him. After he lost his memory, he said, "Hai Lan, I miss you so much." All her persistence, perseverance, hard work, and self-righteous love collapsed. The person Gu Lingqing loved the most was not her, but Zhou Hailan. That kind of heart-wrenching pain was even deeper than Su Jieran's, so much so that she lost the courage to continue living. Gu Lingqing was an unfathomable person. Even though she had studied psychology for 3 years, she still could not enter his heart. That feeling of loneliness in life and in death would never come back again. She used to love him. Even if he didn't love her back, she still hoped that he would have a good life in the future. Baiya carried her luggage and walked out of the room. She asked the front desk for a new room and locked the door. Gu Lingqing came out of the room and saw that Baiya was no longer there. He called her. "Where are you?" Gu Lingqing asked in a low voice. "Opposite your room. I'm already asleep." "Good night, Chief," Baiya said coldly and hung up. She took out a pill from her bag, took one, and fell asleep as soon as she laid down. She slept for a long time. When Baya woke up, she looked at her phone. It was already 9:30, and she had a few calls. They were from Lung Qiuzuan, Gu Lingqing, and an unknown number. She went into the bathroom and brushed her teeth. After washing up, she picked up her phone and walked to the window. She opened the curtains and looked outside. Today's weather was pretty good. The sun shone brightly and warmed the body. She called the unknown number. "Hello, who is it? What's up? Are you Baya?" A woman's voice was filled with disbelief. It didn't feel friendly. "Who are you?" Baya couldn't figure out who the person was. Xiong Dani said. Baya knew who it was. It was Su Jiran's mother. "Mrs. Xiong, what's up?" Baya asked calmly. "You're the Mrs. Xiong Dani said bluntly. Baya smiled. "Could it be Miss Xiong?" "Please call me Madam," Xiong Dani ordered in a sinister tone. Baya nodded nonchalantly. "What's up?" "I called the psychology department. I heard that you're in charge of my brother's case. Angie's case was also solved by you. Aren't you an obstetrician? How did you become a psychologist?" Xiong Dani asked curiously. Time can change a lot of things. Professions, environments, relationships. This won't affect my work. Your brother's case is being handled by a team. It should be solved soon. Don't worry. If there's nothing else, I'll be going to work now, Baya said in a businesslike manner. "Have you met Jiran?" Xiong Dani asked tentatively. "Based on our current relationship, it's better not to meet him. What do you think, Mrs. Xiong?" Baya asked. "I hope you know that I don't like you." Xiong Dani was straightforward. "Same here." Xiong Dani was speechless. Baya hung up. It was uncomfortable to receive such a call early in the morning. She kept her phone and placed it in her bag. She went to the front desk. "Do you still have breakfast?" "Yes, the restaurant on the second floor. Until 10 a.m., the receptionist said with a smile. "Thank you." Baya walked into the restaurant and saw Gu Lingqing right away. He saw her too. He looked at her coldly and coldly. He didn't look away and stared at her as if he was going to interrogate her. Baya looked away. She scooped some egg fried rice, 2 pieces of bacon, a piece of ham, and some cabbage. She saw that Gu Lingqing was still looking at her. If she didn't sit with him, he would probably flip out. She walked over nonchalantly and greeted him in a businesslike manner. "Hello." Gu Lingqing nodded and looked across. "Sit." Baya put down the plate. "I'll get some milk and fruits." Gu Lingqing responded, which could be considered as consent. Baya took some watermelon and tomatoes and a glass of milk. Just as she sat down, she heard Gu Lingqing ask, "Why didn't you pick up the phone?" "Well, I was asleep. I didn't hear it," Baya explained. She lowered her head and ate the egg fried rice. Gu Lingqing didn't say anything either. He seemed to have finished eating but didn't want to leave. She ate with fear and trepidation. "Hey, you guys are quite early." Lung Qiuzuan's voice rang out. Baya thought that she woke up quite late. She didn't expect Lung Qiuzuan to wake up even later than her. Lung Qiuzuan sat down beside Gu Lingqing. He looked at Baya and asked, "Why didn't you pick up my call yesterday?" "I was asleep. I didn't hear it," Baya explained hurriedly. "You told me that you had a child yesterday. How old is the child now?" Lung Qiuzuan asked immediately. Chapter 175. She told Lung Qiuzuan that she had given birth to a child, hoping that Lung Qiuzuan would stop pestering her. She didn't expect Lung Qiuzuan to ask about this in front of Gu Lingqing. It seemed like he did it on purpose. Gu Lingqing looked at her. His eyes were dark and unfathomable, like a bottomless pit. She was speechless. Lung Qiuzuan smiled. "You're not lying to me, are you?" Baya bit the watermelon and looked at Lung Qiuzuan. She was thinking about how to answer him so that Gu Lingqing wouldn't suspect her, but at the same time, he wouldn't stare at her. However, the more nervous she was, the more she couldn't think of an answer. "Is Mr. Lung free?" Baya avoided the question. "I just want to know why you pretend to be a woman in front of me and a girl in front of another man. What's the meaning of this?" Lung Qiuzuan asked sarcastically. "I think Mr. Lung likes me, so I don't want to give you a chance. I found something that you can't accept, Baya said directly. What? Lung Qiuzuan was shocked. He denied it immediately. I like you? How can I like a hypocritical and pretentious woman like you? You're too imaginative. Did I misunderstand? You've been targeting me since we met. Baya looked at him suspiciously. I'm targeting you because I don't like you. If I can be mistaken for liking you, how many people would I like? Lung Qiuzuan said sarcastically. Really? Baya sounded suspicious on purpose. If I don't like someone, I'll definitely stay far away from them. I won't keep showing my existence. Besides, there aren't many people that Mr. Lung likes. Baya raised her eyebrows and smiled provocatively. Don't smile, Gu Lingqing suddenly ordered. Baya looked at Gu Lingqing with a dumbfounded look on her face. His smile is really ugly, isn't it? That imitating others but making a fool of themselves. That's what Detective Baya's talking about, right? Lung Qiuzuan spoke up for Gu Lingqing. Take your time. I'm full. Baya picked up her bag and stood up. Gu Lingqing noticed that she hadn't eaten anything. His eyes darkened and he glanced at Lung Qiuzuan. Lung Qiuzuan was sizing up Gu Lingqing. You like her? What does it have to do with you? At 10:30, ask everyone to gather in your room. Gu Lingqing stood up. Why do we have to gather in my room instead of yours? Lung Qiuzuan stood up and disagreed. Then let's gather in the hotel's conference room, Gu Lingqing said and left without giving Lung Qiuzuan any chance to refuse. Lung Qiuzuan furrowed his eyebrows and was very displeased. This Mr. Gu is really arrogant. He saw that Baya didn't eat much at all, and was too lazy to help himself, so he ate Baya's leftover food. At 10:30, Baya received the notice to gather in the conference room. She was the first to arrive and sat on her seat. Gu Lingqing walked in and placed a plastic bag in front of her. Baya looked at the plastic bag in surprise. It was the bread and cake he bought. He didn't say anything but sat opposite her and looked at her deeply. He didn't say anything, but it seemed like he said a lot. Baya was really not full. He took out a piece of bread and took a big bite. Besides the bread, he also bought a box of yogurt. Gu Lingqing was still as meticulous as before. After a while everyone came in. Lung Qiuzuan was the last one. He saw that Baya was eating the bread, so he sat next to her and said with disdain, You girls are really pretentious. There's a buffet breakfast, but you still want to eat bread? Baya didn't pay attention to him. Well, we gathered everyone here to analyze the case, said Gu Lingqing's subordinate, Mr. Chung. The forensics department sent the information to you? Lung Qiuzuan said unhappily. Yes. Mr. Ching didn't deny it. Lung Qiuzuan smiled. That's quite a high official. He was talking about Gu Lingqing, so everyone heard it. Baya really thought it was a miracle that someone like Lung Qiuzuan hadn't been killed by his enemies. Continue, Gu Lingqing ordered. Mr. Chung continued. The cause of death of the first female corpse was strangled with a steel wire or something. Because the key parts were blocked with a foaming agent. We found the DNA of Xiong Jinping, Xiong Jiqing, Xiong Chang'an, and Zhang Hai. She went through chakra before she died. Who is Zhang Hai? Lung Qiuzuan interrupted. One of the missing teenagers. The boy who drowned in the first glass jar, Mr. Chung explained. Lung Qiuzuan nodded, indicating that he understood. Whose child is the baby? According to the DNA comparison, the baby and Xiong Jinping are direct parent-child. He died from a fall. The baby's mother was in the same glass jar as the baby, Mr. Chung said. There was a secret compartment in the secret room. What did you find in the secret compartment? Lung Qiuzuan asked immediately. In the secret compartment, we found the 3 female victims' IDs, luggage, and the diary belonging to Wang Xiahe. Wang Xiahe was the first victim in the glass jar. According to the diary, the 3 women came out to work, but they were tricked by Xiong Jinping to come here, and they were treated inhumanely. The people outside said that they could hear a woman's voice, so it should be from them. The other 2 men were the missing teenagers. According to the growth of the bones, they should have died when they were 18, which is the year they went missing. The killers are Xiong Jinping, Xiong Jiqing, and Xiong Chang'an. How long have they been missing? Lung Qiuzuan asked. 25 years, Mr. Chung answered. Oh my God, could it be a vengeful spirit? Assistant Lung guessed. After that, she felt a chill down her spine, and her face paled. If it was a vengeful spirit, they would have died 25 years ago. They wouldn't be alive now, Baya said. The killer should be related to the first female corpse, Wang Xiahe. Lung Qiuzuan said and looked at Baya. They have all logged into adult websites and watched a video together. The woman in the video looks very similar to Wang Xiahe. Mr. Lung, you've watched it? Assistant Lung asked innocently. Lung Qiuzuan was speechless. Baya smiled. Assistant Lung's question was too good. I'm doing it to solve a case, Lung Qiuzuan explained to Baya, his face blushing. Oh, Baya answered, dragging the last syllable with a deeper meaning. Lung Qiuzuan's face turned even redder. He put his hand on the chair behind Baya. Why would I lie to you? Besides, don't men look normal? Don't you? Baya felt that he was getting too close, and the question was too intimate. Don't look away. Lung Qiuzuan leaned closer to Baya and took a deep breath. You've seen it too, haven't you? That's why you're not surprised that I'm telling you this. Baya was speechless. Gu Lingqing watched their interaction coldly. His face was pale. He watched it with me. Chapter 176. She had the urge to kill herself with a piece of tofu. The more she wanted to hide her relationship with Gu Lingqing, the more she was afraid that it would be discovered. She could not bear the consequences of being discovered. She wanted to ask for help, but she did not know who to turn to. Assistant Lung was surprised. Detective Bai, when you were on the train, you were with Mr. Gu the whole time. Baya lowered her head and did not say a word. Yes, I was with her. Gu Lingqing answered on behalf of Baya. Don't tell me you're in a relationship. Assistant Lung seemed to have discovered a new continent. Gu Lingqing kept quiet. Baya could not stand the pressure. She needed a rebound and explained. No, I'm not in a relationship with Mr. Gu. My good friend is a doctor in the military, so I know Mr. Gu. Gu Lingqing looked at Baya coldly. His deep eyes were unfathomable, and his tightly pursed lips showed his displeasure. So it's not. Let's talk about the case in detail. Lung Qiuzuan went back to the main topic. I've taken a look at the video. Although it's not clear when this video was taken, it's impossible for it to be done with technology from 25 years ago. That's true. We've found out the identity of this person based on facial recognition. Her name is Wang Donner, 35 years old this year. She's from Cauliflower Village, Pingtown. She used to have an older sister who went out to work 25 years ago and disappeared. This older sister is the first female queen of the dead, Xiahe. These two sisters grew up without parents and have a very good relationship. These two sisters look very similar. Wang Dana even had plastic surgery to look like Xiahe, Mr. Chung said. So this Wang Donner is the murderer? How did she kill the bear? Assistant Lung asked curiously. The problem is, she was filming when the bear died. Many people can testify. Mr. Chung furrowed his eyebrows. This Wang Donner must be the murderer. She has an accomplice, so she can create an alibi. Let's capture her and see, Lung Qiuzuan said. I have another question that I find very strange. Didn't we not find any connection between the victims? From the looks of it, their relationship was very good 25 years ago, Assistant Lung said. 25 years ago, computers were not yet common. At that time, people communicated through letters, and they signed their letters with pen names. We focus on the internet, cell phones, but we forget that there is a primitive form of communication, letters. These people are all in Cydia now, and they should still be in contact with each other. Using a secret method like letters, Baya analyzed. Gu Lingqing said to Mr. Chung, go to the military and check if Xiong Chang'an and Xiong Jiqing are communicating through letters. Also, the three murderers 25 years ago, Xiong Jinping, Xiong Jiqing and Xiong Chang'an, all have the surname Xiong. Could their acquaintance be related to their surnames? You can ask Xiong Jinping's sister, Xiong Dani, Baya suggested. We can arrest Wang Donner. Let's talk to her first, Lung Qiuzuan said. He stood up and walked forward. Baya stood up as well. She had a call. She saw that Gu Lingqing kept staring at her. His gaze was too aggressive, so she picked up the call without looking at who it was to relieve her guilt. Baya, Danny said you're back. Song Shiyu's voice came from the phone. Baya was stunned. She walked out of the meeting room quickly and answered, okay. She walked towards the sky garden. Don't see Lingqing. You know you can't afford to offend him. Song Shiyu went straight to the point. I've seen him, Baya said in a low voice. She looked at the air coldly. He doesn't remember you. He has forgotten what happened between you two. If you want to live well and want him to live better, you should forget him too, Song Shiyu said sincerely. Baya heard the warning in Song Shiyu's words. She thought of the past and how they hurt each other hysterically. Her heart sank to the bottom of a frozen lake. Her blood was completely cold. Her eyes also darkened. I have a friend called Lu Shuang. She is now a doctor in the special military. I need her to be 100% safe. If she isn't safe, I don't know what I will do. Can you guarantee her safety? Baya negotiated. Don't worry. As long as you let Lingqing go, I can promise you, Song Shiyu promised. Give me some time, Baya said and closed her eyes. Her heart was heavy, as if it was pressed by 1,000 pounds of water. It was sour and bitter, very sad. She and Gu Lingqing had to part ways before they could even meet again. This was fate. She opened her eyes. Her eyes were clear, desperate, and cold. She turned around. Gu Lingqing was standing behind her. She was shocked. She didn't know when he came over, how long he stood there, and what he heard. She lowered her eyes guiltily. Gu Lingqing walked in front of her and looked down at her. His eyes were as sharp as X-rays. He ordered, "Raise your head." Baya took a deep breath. She raised her eyes and looked at him. His handsome face was reflected in her clear eyes. You have been avoiding me on purpose since the early morning. Gu Lingqing said a statement. She was avoiding him on purpose. She didn't want their relationship to be exposed. Once their relationship was exposed, Song Shiyu would come to her and put pressure on her. Now their relationship had not been exposed, but Song Shiyu had come to her. It meant that Song Shiyu really cared about her. What do you think our relationship is? Baya asked directly. You are the only woman I have slept with. What do you think our relationship is? Gu Lingqing said coldly, staring at her with his sharp eyes. But you have a fiancé. Your fiancé's father is the deputy director of the Discipline Inspection Department. He is very powerful and has power over the government. If Su Zheng finds out that something happened between me and his son-in-law, how do you think he will deal with me? Baya asked rationally. With me here, I won't let them hurt you, Gu Lingqing promised. Baya's eyes turned a little red, and tears filled her eyes. In the past, Gu Lingqing also said the same to her. So, even if she had to die, she still wanted to be with him. But she gave up everything, and what she got was betrayal. In his heart, Zhou Hailan was the one, not her. He would never know her heartache and despair at that time. Tell me this when you are sure about your feelings for me. Otherwise, your behavior is no different from that of a scumbag, Baya said bluntly. Passing by him, Gu Lingqing held her wrist and squinted at her. His eyes were deep. He pursed his lips and didn't say anything. Chapter 177. Gu Lingqing squinted his eyes. He saw a sense of resentment in her eyes. This resentment was pitiful, contemptuous, and self-deprecating. You hate me, Gu Lingqing deduced. Baya didn't deny it. Hate because of love. What you can't get will always be restless. Red Rose is a nice song, Baya said meaningfully. She pushed his hand away and walked out. Gu Lingqing furrowed his brows and looked at her back in a secretive manner. They were fine on the train yesterday. Why did she seem to be a different person today? Cold, unkind, an unapproachable aura, which made him feel very uncomfortable. However, there was something he needed to deal with. Gu Lingqing made a call. Su Xiaoling answered. She couldn't believe that Gu Lingqing, who never called her, would call her. Lingqing. Su Xiaoling, I won't marry you. You won't have any freedom as my fiancé, Gu Lingqing said. Su Xiaoling wasn't calm. What do you mean by that? Although I turned a blind eye to the things you did, It doesn't mean that I don't know. Keeping a gigolo and playing with gigolos. Once these actions are exposed, it won't be good for the Su family. After all, your father is the vice president and the presidential candidate, Gu Lingqing reminded her. Su Xiaoling clenched her fist. Are you threatening me? I'm just informing you that we've been engaged for more than 3 years. If we could develop feelings, we would have gotten married a long time ago. It's best if you call off the engagement. That's it, I still have something to do here. Gu Lingqing was about to hang up. Gu Lingqing, do you know what you've done wrong? Su Xiaoling said fiercely. I'll take responsibility for my actions, Gu Lingqing said resolutely. You're so self-righteous and headstrong. Let me tell you, do you think that you love Zhou Hailan? Actually no, you love another woman. Su Xiaoling roared irrationally. She wished that the words she said were like a sharp blade, stabbing Gu Lingqing. Gu Lingqing was silent. He held the phone and did not hang up. You must be very curious right now. Who do you love? Every day, when I see you thinking about Zhou Hailan, I think that it's a good thing that there's a girl who's hurt even worse than me. She almost lost her life for you. I feel like you're an idiot, and it's especially satisfying. Su Xiaoling gritted her teeth and said. Gu Lingqing's cold eyes narrowed and became bloodshot. What do you mean? Be more specific. I won't tell you. I will make you miss Zhou Hailan and hurt the woman you love the most. Do you know how pitiful that woman is? Committing suicide for you. I think she will never forgive you for the rest of her life. And I will never forgive you. Su Xiaoling hung up the phone. Gu Lingqing thought of Bai Ye's wrist. He turned around and walked quickly to Bai Ye's room. Bai Ye was packing her luggage. When she heard the knock on the door, she walked to the door and saw Gu Lingqing through the peephole. She opened the door. Gu Lingqing held her hand and looked at the scar on her wrist. His eyes darkened. He was now sure that the woman Su Xiaoling said he loved was Bai Ye. Gu Lingqing's eyes flashed with pity. I'm sorry, I forgot about you. Bai Ye was angry before. She didn't like being forced. When he held her wrist, she wanted to throw his hand away in a fit of rage. But when she heard this belated apology, all her emotions were frozen. In her heart, there were raging waves, beating against all her memories. She felt wronged, sad, and very, very wronged. She had waited for this apology for a very, very long time. She waited for innocence and waited for despair. But what was the use of apologizing? She had forgotten. She had forgotten. Bai Ye controlled her emotions. Let go of me. You're hurting me. Gu Lingqing didn't let go. He just loosened his grip a little. He looked at her with a burning gaze. We didn't break up at all, right? It's just because I lost my memory that we lost all contact, right? Bai Ye knew that she couldn't hide it anymore. He was very smart. He had sharp observations that ordinary people didn't have. She was also tired. She didn't want to play hide and seek with him anymore. Yes. That one word was crisp and clear. Gu Lingqing's grip on her wrist tightened. He connected all the details and deduced. The reason why my parents didn't let me know about the past was because they objected to us being together. They kidnapped you and used you to threaten me to marry Su Xiaoling. Your finger was cut off by them? Yes. Yes, Bai Ye said, looking straight at him. We didn't break up because of their objection. Because of some reason, you and I were both investigating the massacre of Tangqian village. Were I with you before the accident? Gu Lingqing asked again. The cruel memories were like an onion, peeling off the layers by him. She could still vividly remember the explosions when he went on a mission. The Gu Lingqing she loved and the Gu Lingqing who loved him had died in that explosion. If it wasn't for his memory loss later, she wouldn't have known that Gu Lingqing loved Zhou Hailan. He was only responsible for her. Tears she couldn't hold back flowed down her eyes. She really hoped that she would die in that explosion. At least she wouldn't have to face the cruelty after that. At least she would have died with Gu Lingqing with faith. She wouldn't have felt lonely like she did later. Gu Lingqing saw her crying. His heart tightened. He wiped away her wet tears with his thumb and promised, I will be responsible for you. Responsible? Responsible. Responsible. Bai Ye stopped crying. She stared at Gu Lingqing and her eyes gradually became determined. She hated the word responsible. He got close to her, deceived her feelings, and won her heart because he wanted to be responsible. What she used was complete love. Why did she only get responsibility? She didn't want this responsibility. No need. When I woke up in the hospital and decided to cross the sea, I had already decided not to love you anymore. Baya, who loved you, died because of the ignorance and stupidity of the past. Now I have been reborn. If you really want to be responsible for me, then let me go and stay away from my life. In the future we will never see each other again, Baya said coldly. Gu Lingqing frowned. He couldn't see through her at all. Is this really the result you want? This is the result I want, Baya said clearly. No entanglement, no nostalgia, no memories, no wandering. We should all look forward. Gu Lingqing looked at her smile, and his heart seemed to be stabbed by a sharp knife. Chapter 178. As proud and arrogant as he was, he let go of Baya's wrist, turned around and disappeared from her sight. Baya closed the door. The world was peaceful. She got what she wanted. However, what was the reason for the overwhelming sense of loss, sadness, and regret in her heart? Baya didn't go for lunch. She simply didn't want to go. She didn't want to see Gu Lingqing to avoid being embarrassed. She made a bowl of noodles and ate a few mouthfuls. The noodles were too hard and her stomach felt uncomfortable. She wanted to go out and buy some fruits. She opened the door and saw Leng Qiuzuan outside. He looked like he was about to knock on the door. What's wrong? Baya asked. They caught Wang Donner and brought her witnesses back. One is her partner, and the other is the cameraman. I suspect that their testimonies were matched. They both said that they were filming when the crime happened. Leng Qiuzuan said seriously. Where is the footage? Baya asked. I'll send it to your computer. Go to the station to interrogate Wang Donner at 2 in the afternoon. Take a look and see if there's any weak point that can break through Wang Donner's psychological defense. Have you seen it? Baya asked directly. Leng Qiuzuan's face was strangely red. Yes. Is it before or after the editing? After the editing. Send me a copy of the edited footage and send it to my email. I'll go out to buy some fruits and come back to watch it. I'll go to the station with you at 2 in the afternoon, Baya said straightforwardly. Okay. What fruits do you want to buy? I'll get someone to buy them for you, Leng Qiuzuan said with twinkling eyes. There's a fruit stall not far from here. I'll go there myself. Baya rejected his kindness. Leng Qiuzuan felt even more uncomfortable. Then help me buy some apples and pears. Mangosteen would be best. I like to eat mangosteen. Baya. Leng Qiuzuan said and wanted to leave. Baya did not argue with him. The case was about to be solved. How many more days could they spend together? Just muddle along. She went to the fruit stand and bought apples, pears, mangosteens, oranges, and bananas for a total of 96 yuan. When she rummaged through her purse, she took out a 100 yuan bill. Baya looked up and saw Gu Lingqing. She was slightly surprised. You're here to buy fruits too? Gu Lingqing didn't even look at her in the eye and said in a low voice, I originally wanted to buy some for you, but I just happened to meet you here. Have you had lunch? I don't have much appetite. I don't feel like eating, Baya said. Gu Lingqing took all the fruits and looked at Baya. He was too strong. Standing in front of her, he was like an iron wall. Baya felt uneasy. Some of them belonged to Leng Qiuzuan. Gu Lingqing ignored her and walked towards the door. Baya followed behind him. Gu Lingqing strode towards the elevator. He didn't say anything. She didn't want to talk to him either. She walked to the deepest part of the elevator. Baya, Gu Lingqing shouted. Baya looked at him. Her eyes met his deep gaze. She didn't know what he wanted to say. There are some things that you want to watch with me, Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. There are some things that you're talking about. Don't tell me it's a video taken by Wang Dana? Baya guessed. It's impossible to find any problems with those finished products. I want the ones that haven't been edited. Focus on the bystanders, Gu Lingqing reminded him. He had the same thought as her. However, She didn't really want to watch it with him when she thought about what happened when they watched it together. Lung Chiozuan has already emailed me the ones that haven't been edited. Baiya looked down and said, let's go to your room then, Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. Baiya. Her original intention was to reject him in a roundabout way. She didn't expect him to climb up the ladder. I want to watch it alone, Baiya said straightforwardly. Gu Lingqing's face darkened. He stared at her unhappily and said in an irrefutable tone, You have the right to make a request. However, it's rejected. I'm not your subordinate. I don't need to apply to you. Rejected. Gu Lingqing emphasized. Baiya frowned and was annoyed. I think I've already made it very clear to you. What did you make clear? Gu Lingqing asked. Baiya saw that he seemed to have forgotten everything. Well, I don't love you anymore. There was a ding. The elevator door opened. Gu Lingqing strode out of the elevator. Baiya jogged behind him. If it's not necessary, I don't think we can continue to be in a relationship. Gu Lingqing pursed his lips. He took the room card to open his door and placed the fruits on the dining table. Baiya stood at the door and glanced at the fruits. She didn't know whether to enter or not. Gu Lingqing pulled his tie and unbuttoned his neck. He looked back at her and frowned. You don't dare to come in? Or are you afraid that I'm a poisonous snake or a beast that will eat you? Baiya was a little dazed. Gu Lingqing had said this to her before. The truth was that he was even more terrifying than a poisonous snake or a beast. She passed by his room and didn't want to go in. Gu Lingqing had no choice but to rush out. He held her hand and pulled her into the room. He slammed the door. Baiya pulled her hand out and turned to walk towards the door. Gu Lingqing strode forward and pushed the door, trapping her between the door and him. Do you have to make me angry? Gu Lingqing said unhappily. Now you're the one who made me angry. Baiya said even more unhappily. How did I make you angry? Gu Lingqing asked in return. Baiya was speechless. I wanted to leave, but you didn't let me. I wanted to watch it alone, but you insisted on watching it with me. Isn't this making me angry? I didn't let you leave and insisted on watching it with you. Don't you know why? Gu Lingqing retorted confidently. Baiya's heart trembled. She looked into his deep eyes. He put his arm around her waist and pulled her to his side. Their bodies were pressed together. Baiya's back stiffened. She pushed his shoulder. There are many women you want to find. Don't look for me. I don't want to. There are many women, but I don't like many women. I like to talk about love first, then do a. Gu Lingqing turned around and pressed Baiya down on his bed. When you had sex with me for the first time, were you in love? Baiya was furious. His body was too hot. It was so hot that it was about to melt her. She didn't like to be infatuated with him anymore. Gu Lingqing looked at her deeply. When he saw her 3 years ago, he had a special feeling. When he saw her on the plane, it was as if he had found the person he had always been looking for. He wouldn't have sex with anyone casually. If he had to count, she was the only one. I think he must have never forgotten you. That's why he made me dream of you. Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. Baiya could tell that he was talking about the Gu Lingqing in the past. The Gu Lingqing that she loved. Chapter 179. You've forgotten everything. You don't know anything. You think you haven't forgotten, but it's just your speculation. Baiya frowned and said. Her voice was choked with sobs. Gu Lingqing looked at him deeply. Her tearful face was reflected in his dark eyes. He didn't know what happened between them in the past, and he didn't know why she rejected him so much and firmly believed that he didn't like her. But he knew how he felt now. He felt heartache when he saw her crying. The pain was very real. She said she wanted to give up on him, and he felt heartache too. Gu Lingqing lowered his head and kissed the tears on her face. It was salty and bitter, he said domineeringly. Then I'll know that I won't let you go before I recover my memory. You're wasting our time. Baiya pushed him. Gu Lingqing held her hand. You don't have a boyfriend anyway, right? Although she said that, she knew that she was afraid that she would fall again. Knock, knock, knock. There was a knock on the door. Baiya looked at the door defensively. What's the matter? Gu Lingqing asked. It's me, Xiao Wang. Mr. Lung wants to see you. He has something to discuss, Xiao Wang said. Hurry up, or else Lung Qiuzuan will be here soon, Baiya reminded him. Gu Lingqing let go of Baiya, stood up, and opened the video file on the computer. He looked at her and said, I'll be back soon. You watch it first. Okay, Baiya answered. Gu Lingqing went out. She watched him leave. It wasn't appropriate for her to stay in his house, so she picked up the fruits and walked to her room. Lung Qiuzuan's room. The case is about to be solved. Did you ask the higher-ups to order us not to interfere? Lung Qiuzuan said bluntly. This case involves too many people, so we'll take over. Lung Qiuzuan can rest early. Isn't that good? Gu Lingqing said indifferently. Every profession has its own specialization. Mr. Gu, don't you think you're overstepping your authority? Just because the murderer and the victim are both from the military, you can treat human lives like grass. I think we should give the victim's family an explanation. Lung Qiuzuan said fiercely. Gu Lingqing smiled and sat down on the sofa. Mr. Lung, what do you mean by explanation? Let the families of the deceased know how their children died. Lung Qiuzuan said coldly. You know how he died? Then they would seek revenge on the murderer. The problem was, the murderer had already been killed. For the parents of the deceased, where was the revenge? Their child had been dead for 25 years. Now their hair was white, and the pain of the past had been erased with time by another child. Perhaps because they did not know the situation of their own child, they still had hope in their hearts, hoping that their child could live a good life. Cool. Reality doesn't help them at all, Gu Lingqing said calmly. So, you just want to drown out the truth? Lung Qiuzuan didn't agree. The truth has already been found out. There's no such thing as drowning out the truth. We just need to choose a better way to express it. For example, we can make up for it with money or career. This is just because you want to protect the reputation of the military. Don't make it sound so nice. Mr. Gu is just a hypocritical and cunning villain, Lung Qiuzuan said fiercely. 25 years ago, these three people hadn't joined the military yet. I just want to know, after they joined the military, they didn't do anything bad. I'm not wrong to protect the honor of the military. If the military is not trusted, and the boss has a rebellious attitude, do you think it's helpful to maintain peace? Is it? Besides, once this kind of news spreads abroad, do you think it's helpful to our country? Maybe I don't do things openly, and in the eyes of others, I'm a cunning villain. However, in front of the honor and interests of our country, my personal sacrifice is nothing. Mr. Lung, if there's nothing else, I have to go back to work on the case. Gu Lingqing stood up. You're so dignified. Does Baiya know about it? Do you think she'll agree with what you're doing? Lung Qiuzuan said coldly. I don't need other people to agree with what I do, Gu Lingqing said arrogantly. He opened the door and went back to his room. Baiya was gone. He made a call to Baiya. Baiya was eating an apple in her room, browsing through the information before the video was cut. She picked up her phone and glanced at it. It was Gu Lingqing's call. She didn't want to answer it, so she put the phone on silent mode and put it beside her. Tick, tick, tick. The door was opened. Gu Lingqing walked in. Baiya. Where did he get the room card? Ha, ha. Why didn't you answer the phone? Gu Lingqing said. He closed the door and walked towards her. The phone was right beside her. How could she say she didn't hear it? I saw a key content, so I didn't answer it, Baiya explained. She bit her apple and looked at the computer. What key content? Tell me. Gu Lingqing sat beside her quietly. He didn't say a word about why she left his room. Baiya definitely wouldn't bring it up. Look, there are quite a lot of people here. I suggest we interrogate them one by one. As long as one of them isn't mentally strong, he can break through immediately, Baiya suggested. Okay, Gu Lingqing answered. He didn't say anything else. Baiya could only continue watching. She had watched such videos before. Lu Shuang always dragged her to watch them together. One of the videos left a deep impression on her. It was a man who made a woman come 4 or 5 times in 5 minutes. She thought it was amazing. Because the woman's thing was especially obvious when it came. She looked at the videos before they cut and realized that they were all cut. After the woman did it for the first time, she would let him rest for a while before continuing. However, the rest in the middle was all removed. No wonder. So it was all fake. However, no matter how fake it was, it still made people blush. Moreover, there was Gu Lingqing sitting beside her. She felt his gaze on her. She turned her head and looked at Gu Lingqing. He was indeed looking at her. She didn't know how long he had been looking at her. Why are you looking at me? Watch the video, Gu Lingqing reminded her. Baiya, if you don't look at me, how do you know I'm looking at you? Baiya replied. I've already seen the problem. I don't know if you've seen it or not. Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. If you've seen it, why didn't you say anything? Baiya was speechless. You're a professional. I just want to see what your ability is. My specialty is psychological research. I'm not watching videos. Baiya closed the computer. Since you've seen it, tell me, Chief Gu. Chapter 180. Baiya watched as he collapsed on her bed. It wouldn't be good if someone saw this. Go back to your place and sleep. Gu Lingqing ignored her and didn't even open his eyes. Baiya couldn't do anything to him. Seeing him sleeping peacefully, she thought he was quiet. When she was about to turn on the computer to continue her research, Leng Qiuzuan's voice came from outside the door. Open the door. Baiya furrowed her brows. If Leng Qiuzuan saw Gu Lingqing, she wouldn't be able to clear her name even if she jumped into the Yellow River. Gu Lingqing, get up and hide for a while. Gu Lingqing lay on the bed and didn't respond. Gu Lingqing. Baiya pushed him forcefully. Gu Lingqing held her hand and pulled it into his arms. He turned over and pressed her under his body, kissing her lips. Baiya, I know you're inside. Hurry up and open the door. I have something to talk to you about, Baiya. Leng Qiuzuan knocked on the door more and more hurriedly. Baiya looked at the door worriedly. She was anxious, but her lips were blocked by him and she couldn't make a sound. She was afraid that Leng Qiuzuan would do the same and asked the room attendant to open the door. If that happened, she would be finished. She looked at Gu Lingqing with a pleading look. He finally let go of her and met her resentful eyes. Ignore him. You've been recruited. Gu Lingqing, can you stop fooling around? Leng Qiuzuan is my team leader and also my direct leader. You're making things difficult for me. This case has been taken over by the military. I've talked to the central government, and now I'm in charge, Gu Lingqing explained. He let go of her and sat up. Does this mean that I can get off work and go home? Baiya also sat up. You're not from the police station. It was the police station who went to the Psychology Research Institute to ask for help. Similarly, the military can also go to the Psychology Research Institute to ask for help. Therefore, your direct leader is no longer Leng Qiuzuan, but me, Gu Lingqing said patiently and walked towards the door. Baiya understood and hurriedly went forward to hug Gu Lingqing. Don't open the door. Hide, I'll open it. Why should I hide? Baiya, what are you afraid of? Besides, Su Xiaoling and I have already broken off our engagement. I am single now. Gu Lingqing looked down at her and said. Baiya looked at him in a daze. You broke off the engagement with Su Xiaoling? 3 years ago, my memory of her was that of a younger sister. I really can't accept a younger sister becoming a fiancée. Therefore, I don't even have a younger sister relationship with her now. Gu Lingqing explained and observed the changes in Baiya's expression. Su Jing agreed. Baiya didn't believe it. He has no choice but to agree. Su Xiaoling has been hanging around some female clubs in recent years, and has had sex with more than 5 male prostitutes. If this scandal is exposed, Su Zheng's presidential election will definitely be ruined. Not to mention the presidency, even the position of vice president will be in danger. Now that Su Xiaoling has brought it up, the Su family won't object, Gu Lingqing said with certainty. You know about Su Xiaoling's matter? Baiya was too shocked. She had even hinted to him before. It turned out that he knew it better than anyone else. It doesn't matter about her. I also know about what you've done abroad for the past 3 years, Gu Lingqing said in a deep voice and looked at her with a burning gaze. Baya had to admit that it stirred up quite a lot of waves in her heart. Gu Lingqing had been paying attention to her for the past 3 years. Although she was shocked, she had to deal with Leng Qiuzuan first. Why don't you hide first? I don't want people to gossip about me, Baya said with a pleading tone. Who dares to gossip about you? Gu Lingqing said conceitedly. Baya was angry. Are you going to hide or not? He stared at her, cleared his throat, and silently went to the bathroom. Baya looked at his back. She didn't even realize that the corner of her mouth was slightly raised. When she opened the door, she happened to hear Leng Qiuzuan saying to the room attendant, "Please open the door. This is my friend's room. I called for her for a long time, but she didn't open the door. I suspect something happened to her." Baya opened the door and blocked the door with her body. "Mr. Leng, what can I do for you? Why don't you open the door? Why is your face so red?" Leng Qiuzuan looked at her face suspiciously. Baya's eyes flickered. She was too guilty. She lowered her head and said, "I'm looking at that. I found something strange. I'll tell you about it later." "No need. I'm here to tell you that we don't need to follow this case anymore. Mr. Gu is in charge of it." "I know, but you don't need to follow it. I'm originally from the Psychology Research Institute. Now I'm working with Mr. Gu," Baya explained. "Aren't you curious why the military intervened?" Leng Qiuzuan frowned. He didn't like Baya's casual attitude. Xiong Jiqing and Xiong Chang'an are both from the special military. Although these things happened before they joined the military, it may cause a bad impact because of the outside world's speculation and people with ulterior motives. So the military will strictly block the news when they take over. Don't you think it's wrong? Leng Qiuzuan said impatiently. I remember in my middle school politics class that the national honor is above the collective interest, the collective interest is above the individual interest, and the national interest is above everything else. All actions that harm the national interest are hostile actions. The military is doing the right thing. Oh right. I almost forgot. Mr. Leng, I studied abroad. Baya smiled. Her last sentence was filled with provocation. To me, the truth is above everything else, Leng Qiuzuan said with a pale face. I understand you. Mr. Leng is a very individualistic person. However, we all live in a group. If you are capable and use it well, you will win glory. If you are capable but not used it well, you will have a big side effect. Mr. Leng is a very capable person. I hope there will be a chance in the future. I hope I can solve the case with you in the future. Baya closed the door. Leng Qiuzuan leaned against the door and looked at her. I hope I can solve the case with me in the future. Is it true or not? It's very efficient to solve the case with Mr. Leng. The collective interest is above the individual interest. I mean it, Baya said with a smile. She closed the door slowly and turned around. Gu Lingqing was standing behind her silently. Baya was shocked after she realized what had happened. If Leng Qiuzuan wanted to come in, and she let Leng Qiuzuan in, Gu Lingqing would be exposed. Annoyed, she slapped him on the shoulder. Gu Lingqing held her hand and pressed her against the door in a strong and turbulent manner. Baya, I can't satisfy you yet. Is that why you are in the mood to flirt with men? Who's flirting with men? Baya said in a low voice. She was afraid that Leng Qiuzuan was still at the door and could hear their conversation. You should reject Leng Qiuzuan directly. I don't want you to have a chance to work together. He has ambitions for you. If you want to flirt, you should flirt with me, Gu Lingqing said domineeringly. Chapter 181. Baya pushed Gu Lingqing away. Who's flirting with you? Then I'll flirt with you, Gu Lingqing said domineeringly. Baya's heart was beating very fast as she looked at him. He was very serious and cold. Even if it was a sweet talk, he was still very serious. She felt that she must have heard wrongly, and wanted to leave his arms. He lowered his head and kissed her lips. He did not give her any chance to reject him. It was forceful and fierce. His hot breath was right beside her ear. She could not think at all. She wanted to push him away, but she did not have the strength. His kiss made it harder and harder for her to breathe. She leaned her head back, and he pressed the back of her head. Baya could only breathe with all her might. Gu Lingqing held her hand and pressed it on his abdomen. She could feel his explosive strength through his pants. She wanted to pull her hand out, but he did not allow her to. She was angry and held it tightly. Gu Lingqing groaned and let go of her lips. He looked at her with a burning gaze. Xiaoya, it's too tight. Baya's heart skipped a beat. She pulled her hand out. Her palm felt like it was burned by a cigarette butt, and it was rubbing against her clothes. I can't breathe. Can't you breathe when you kiss now? You're really stupid, Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. It seemed like he was reprimanding her, but his tone was filled with love. She walked towards the table. Gu Lingqing did not want to let her go just like that. He held her arm. Baya said helplessly, I haven't seen anything wrong with the recording. I have to go to the police station at 2. At 6:10 p.m. there are two people chatting. From the movement of their lips, I can tell that they are going to watch the premiere of Sea of Beauties tonight. This is a movie from last year, Gu Lingqing reminded. You already saw it. Why didn't you tell me? Baya rushed to the computer and opened it. There were really two people talking. Are you sure they're talking about this? There's no sound. I can't be wrong if I read his lips, Gu Lingqing said affirmatively. Therefore, the alibi they provided is fake. They are the murderers. I want to break through the witness. Baya already had an idea. Gu Lingqing sat down next to her and looked at her deeply. I don't think you should spend your time on the case but on me. What do you think? Baya stood up anxiously. You've already done it yesterday. You used to be a doctor. You should know that men only need to rest for 10 minutes before they can start again, Gu Lingqing said in a deep voice. You don't have to do that, Baya said softly. I want it, he said confidently and domineeringly. I still have to work in the afternoon, Baya refused. Fine. Gu Lingqing stood up and looked at him. Forget it if you don't want to. But actually many men will be possessed by a second brain. Although I won't be affected, I will still be affected. I hope you won't do anything indecent while you're working. Baya held his arm. You won't, right? Gu Lingqing smiled. What do you think? Baya shook his hand off in annoyance. You're not flirting. You're coercing me. Gu Lingqing hugged her waist and pulled her to his side. He lowered his voice. Xiaoya, I want you. Baya pursed her lips and looked at him. Can I refuse? No, Gu Lingqing said without thinking. But he didn't make a move. He seemed to be waiting for her to agree. Baya looked at the time on the bottom right corner of the computer. It was 1:20. She was already 27.5 years old. She had passed the age where she liked to dream and fantasize. She started to understand that when a man wanted to have sex with a woman, sex was not necessarily love. Sometimes it was a kind of conquest. Sometimes it was a proof. Sometimes it was a physical need. Gu Lingqing had sex with her yesterday. It was unlikely that he had a physical need. Did he want to conquer, or did he want to prove? Or because of love? She didn't dare to think about the last possibility. She was afraid to think about it. She was afraid to sink into it. She was afraid that she would never be able to make a comeback. She would just treat it as a chance encounter between a mature man and woman. Hurry up. Baya agreed. The corners of Gu Lingqing's mouth turned up slightly. He kissed her lips more passionately and pressed her down on the bed. He kissed her neck, earlobe, collarbone and down. Baya, your reaction is very good. You like it, don't you? Gu Lingqing asked in a hoarse voice. Who wouldn't like it when you do it like this? Baya asked in return. I like it too, Gu Lingqing said with a smile. Baya's heart skipped a few beats. He held her ankle and pressed it down on her face. Baya could clearly feel that he wanted her. She breathed softly and her face was burning red. His gaze was too hot. She turned her face away in embarrassment. He moved her face so that she was facing him. I used to like it too, right? Lu Shuang said that I often came to look for you and forced him to go out and play mahjong. Baya didn't expect that Lu Shuang would tell him this. She found it hard to say it. He wanted her to say it, so he was grinding on her. It made her uncomfortable. She frowned and said, Hurry up. Hurry up what? Didn't you say that you don't want it before? He was very interested. He liked how anxious she was. It made him feel that he was needed too. When she said that she wanted him to let her go, he felt very uncomfortable in his heart. He didn't want to be dispensable to her. Gu Lingqing, Baiya said angrily. Her voice was sweet and especially pleasant to the ears. If she could say it out loud, she probably wouldn't be Baiya. Got it? He couldn't help but say it. Both of them let out soft sounds of comfort. Gu Lingqing's heart skipped a beat. He kissed her slightly opened lips and supported her head with his elbows on the bed. After all, he was a soldier. His physique, strength, and speed were super good. Baiya couldn't take it anymore. Her voice was drowned in his mouth. She got excited too. She hugged his waist. Unknown things were running everywhere. Her mind was blank. She slowly stepped on the clouds and floated down. She regained her senses. She focused her eyes and saw Gu Lingqing looking at her. She didn't know how long he looked at her. She was very shy. Her eyes were shining. Why are you looking at me? There's only the two of us here. I don't want to look at you. I want to look at myself, Gu Lingqing replied. You should come down now. It's almost 2 a.m. I still want to take a shower, Baiya said with a red face. Gu Lingqing didn't move. I think it's good to be with you like this for the rest of my life. I'm not interested in other women anyway. Baiya didn't understand what he meant by that. Marry her? Or was he using flowery words to confuse her? Do you feel uncomfortable? Gu Lingqing asked her in a serious manner. Baiya really didn't want to talk about this topic later. She said perfunctorily, I'm all right. Chapter 182. I want to take a shower now, but it's too late, Baiya urged him. Okay. He got up and carried her to the bathroom. Baiya used the bathtub, and he used the shower. She didn't dare to look at him. She looked at the water in the bathtub, but her thoughts kept drifting to what he said. I think it's good to be with you like this for the rest of my life. I'm not interested in other women anyway. Baiya, you're too boring. You can tell me if you have any requests. You're the only woman I've ever come into contact with, so I don't know what women like. If they're not good, I'll try to improve. Not only about her, but also about what happened to you abroad in the past 3 years. Su Xiaoling and I have already broken off our engagement. I'm single now. He was really flirting with her with every word. He was flirting with her to the core. It was impossible to say that she wasn't flustered. She couldn't lie to herself. She was moved. Gu Lingqing, do you like me? Baiya looked at him and asked directly. He was still secretive, and there was no trace of clues on his face. Do you believe what I said, or do you believe what you saw? Baiya's heart skipped a beat, and a chill gradually invaded her body. She remembered that 3 years ago, Gu Lingqing hadn't lost his memory yet. She had also asked Gu Lingqing the same question. He said that he didn't say it, but only did it. At that time, she was very touched. She believed that Gu Lingqing wasn't a person with flowery words, and she also believed that he would use his actions to prove what true love was. It wasn't until he lost his memory that she knew that Gu Lingqing didn't say it because he loved Zhou Hailan in his heart. He couldn't say it. He was good to her, and he just took his responsibility. Now Gu Lingqing was still like this. Baiya smiled. She raised an extremely charming smile and stood up from the bathtub. She calmly picked up the bath towel and wrapped it around her body. I believe it. I can feel it in my heart. She walked past him, went out, and took out a change of clothes from her suitcase. The confusion in her eyes had all disappeared. What was left was only coldness. When Gu Lingqing came out of the washroom, Baiya was no longer there. She went to the police station first. When she arrived at the police station, she was surprised to see that Leng Qiuzuan was there too. I thought you had left. I don't like to give up halfway. Although I won't take over directly, it's good to know the result by watching you guys handle the case, Leng Qiuzuan explained. Baiya smiled. Although he was venomous, arrogant, and impolite to others, he was still very professional. Then I'll go in first. Baiya. Leng Qiuzuan shouted. Baiya looked at Leng Qiuzuan. I've checked Wang Donger's account. There's only 800 yuan in it. Last year, she started to spend a lot of money. One of them was on a credit card in Japan. She bought a Sony HDR EX 2000E, a professional video camera. Also, her boyfriend, who was a videographer, had bought her boyfriend, her partner, bought the latest 3D screen. Also, Wang Dong majored in psychology in university, Lung Qiuzuan reminded. I understand how they killed. Xiong Jiqing and Xiong Jinping were scared to death. They thought that Xia He was after their lives. Xiong Chang'an committed suicide. Maybe he couldn't handle the mental pressure, Baya guessed. It's up to you. I'll be in the surveillance room, Lung Qiuzuan said. Lung Qiuzuan said, coolly passing by her, then stopped. Did you buy the fruits I told you to buy? I bought them. They're in my room. I'll give them to you after I'm done with the interrogation, Baya said. Lung Qiuzuan had a strange expression. He wanted to say something but stopped. He took a deep breath and said, Baya, do you know why I took this case? You like challenges, Baya said. Xiong Jinping is my friend's uncle. I was asked by my friend to take part in this case. Lung Qiuzuan said and looked at Baya. Baya understood now. His friend was Su Jieran. You knew who I was? Baya asked. I didn't know. Jieran called me just now and asked me about you. I only found out that you're his ex-wife. I always thought that his ex-wife's surname was Xing. What's your relationship with Xing Jinyan? Lung Qiuzuan continued. No wonder she felt that Lung Qiuzuan's attitude towards her had changed. It turned out that he knew she was Su Jieran's ex-wife. My half-sister. We were born on the same year, month and day. I'm a few minutes older than her, Baya explained. You must have suffered a lot. That's why you changed from an obstetrician and gynecologist to a psychologist. Baya smiled. No matter how bitter it is, it's all over. Because it's bitter, you'll feel that every day in the future will be sweet. As long as you don't feel bitter, you'll be invincible. Don't blame Su Jieran. I was wondering why he let Xing Batian go when he could have killed him. It's all because of you, Lung Qiuzuan said meaningfully. What does that mean? He wants to kill Xing Batian? Baya was surprised. Su Jieran's biological father was killed by Xing Batian. He married you for revenge. You should ask Jieran about it. Since you're my brother's woman, I won't make things difficult for you. If you need help, you can call me. Lung Qiuzuan shrugged. He said regretfully, Su Jieran's biological father was killed by Xing Batian? Baya was confused and couldn't believe it. No wonder she always felt that Su Jieran hated her and wanted to make her suffer on purpose, pushing her to hell step by step. There was actually such a layer of relationship in it. Lung Qiuzuan didn't say anything else and walked to the surveillance room. Baya stood at the entrance of the police station, recalling the past bit by bit. Why are you standing here? Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. Baya was so engrossed that she was startled. She glanced at Gu Lingqing and walked to the interrogation room. Gu Lingqing held her arm and looked into her eyes. What are you thinking about? You don't look so good. I have some information. I roughly know how they killed them. However, Wang Donner is also a psychology student. It will be difficult for her to break through. After all, there is no concrete evidence. Baya said ambiguously. Don't worry about it. We have time. Besides, I suspect that this murder case can't be done by one person. It's hard to break through Wang Donner's psychological defense, but it's easy for others. Gu Lingqing said. Baya nodded. Gu Lingqing, do you know how Xiong Dani's husband died? I think he died during a mission. He was only 30 when he died. Why? Gu Lingqing looked at Baya suspiciously. Chapter 183. Only 30? How old was Su Jieran then? Baya asked, glancing at Gu Lingqing. He looked at her deeply. Don't you think it's inappropriate to show your concern for your ex-husband in front of me? I'm just asking. You're talking about your ex-husband just by asking a few questions. If you don't ask casually, you're talking about him all the time. Baya, have I been too lenient with you? Gu Lingqing said the last sentence sternly. Baya, shut up. What was her relationship with him? He was being too nosy. She walked into the interrogation room and took a look at the information of the person involved. April 12, 2020. Where were you? I was filming. I'm the cameraman, so of course I'm involved, the cameraman said confidently. What film? Baya said calmly. What film? Didn't you take it to watch? My close-up shot is not bad, right? It's very clear. Both men and women love to watch it, the cameraman said pervertedly. I didn't watch the close-up shot, but I saw that you said you were going to watch the premiere of Sea of Beauties. The premiere was in June 2019, right? So this video wasn't filmed on the night of April 12, 2020. Tell me, what were you doing on April 12th? Baya said sternly. The cameraman looked at Baya with a dumbfounded expression. His eyes flickered. I don't know what you're talking about. It's okay if you don't know what I'm talking about, as long as the court knows what I'm talking about. Righteousness is a virtue, filial piety is a duty. You're taking the blame for someone else. Will your grandmother think that you're right? Baya asked, sizing up the cameraman's face. Panic flashed in his eyes. Don't tell my grandmother. I won't tell her, but if she hears the rumors, it might be even bloodier and darker than the truth. Are you sure you want to be the mastermind of the murder? Maybe you can't even fulfill your duty of filial piety? Maybe your grandmother doesn't even want to see you. Baya's words hit the heart of the cameraman. His heart. I actually don't know anything, the cameraman said in a panic. Then tell me what you know. Mason and I are partners. He seduces beautiful women to come over, and they volunteer to shoot some videos and post them online to earn some money. Some of the videos are sold directly to Japanese film companies. Last year, he brought a girl with him. Her name was Wang Dong. He said this girl was very different. I'm filming for them. That's all I do. Mason handles everything else. One day, they asked me to shoot a thriller, saying that they had a way to upload it to an online video app. However, the scene was too bloody, too violent, too realistic and too erotic. It didn't pass the audit at all. Then Wang Donner and Mason disappeared, and I made a short film or something. Late at night on the 12th of April, Mason contacted me and told me that if anyone asked about me, just tell them that I was filming on the 12th of April. That's what happened, the cameraman explained. After we verify that what you said is true, we will let you go. Baya stood up. Gu Lingqing was already standing outside the door. I'm going to interrogate Wang Dong now, Baya said to Gu Lingqing. She might admit to the video, but she might not admit to the murder. I've read all of Wang Xiaohe's diary. I've written down everything about Wang Dong. Take a look first. Gu Lingqing passed a square piece of paper to Baya. Baya now understood why he looked so tired. He must have stayed up all night to read the diary. Why didn't you give it to me earlier? Baya took the paper from his hand, confused. It's a bit heavy. I didn't want you to feel bad. You'll know when you read it, Gu Lingqing said in a low voice. Baya flipped the paper. She did feel uncomfortable after reading it. There was a gloomy feeling, like the dampness of rain. She looked at Gu Lingqing slowly. He was still as meticulous as before. He would care about her feelings. Even in death, he didn't forget to protect her. In terms of feelings, he was using himself to make up for it. If Su Jiaran treated her well, he wouldn't have saved her. If he didn't lose his memory, he wouldn't have let her know that he loved Zhou Hailan. He was just responsible for her. He was a very mature man. She couldn't blame him. Baya turned around. Gu Lingqing held her hand. Baya looked at Gu Lingqing confusedly. I don't have a good temper. Don't be angry at me, Gu Lingqing said. Baya was stunned. I'm not angry. What do you mean? It's okay if you forgot. However, I still have to make it clear. You're my woman now. Don't think about your ex-husband. Gu Lingqing said domineeringly. Who's your woman? Baya pursed her lips and denied it. She turned around and walked toward the interrogation room. Gu Lingqing stood there. His face was livid. There was a fire in his heart. He couldn't let it out or swallow it. I'm curious. Why is Jiaran so obsessed with her? I think I know the answer. Leng Qiuzuan stood beside Gu Lingqing. He looked at Baya's back and sighed. Gu Lingqing looked at Leng Qiuzuan. I slept with her. Leng Qiuzuan. He never thought that such words would come out of Gu Lingqing's mouth. It was like a child showing off his toy. Gu Lingqing was satisfied with his expression. The fire in his heart seemed to have been released. Almost every day. Lung Chiozuan. Bro, you're bragging, Lung Chiozuan said bluntly. Gu Lingqing's eyes darkened. He said calmly, and many times a day. That's enough. Lung Chiozuan raised his voice. His sister could tolerate it, but his brother couldn't. However, Gu Lingqing was still serious. He said domineeringly, pass on the 3 sentences I said to Su Jieran. Add 1 more sentence. He doesn't have a chance. I never spread false rumors. Lung Chiozuan raised his chin and walked past Gu Lingqing. Gu Lingqing's anger was slightly appeased. Now it was back. When you came to talk bad about me to Baiya, I was in her room. Gu Lingqing pointed it out. Lung Chiozuan laughed. How can a man who isn't acknowledged by a woman say that other men don't have a chance? What a joke. Gu Lingqing twitched the corner of his mouth. Compared to the coldness in his eyes, his smile was a little terrifying. I heard that Mr. Lung is a black dan in karate. Let's have a match. Sure. After Baiya interrogates Wang Donner, let's have a match. Who's afraid of who? What will the loser say? Lung Chiozuan said confidently. The loser, of course, will go to the hospital. What else can he say? Gu Lingqing said coldly. Chapter 184. Baiya walked into the interrogation room. Wang Donner was calm and collected. She smiled and said, looks like you've already passed the first test. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. Baiya sat on the chair and said, I heard that you're studying psychology. What made you change your profession? Hobby. Are you satisfied with this answer? Wang Donner smiled and said. Baiya looked at her and tapped the table rhythmically. Your sister is much older than you. When she left you, you were only 7. Do you still remember what happened when you were 7? Wang Donner casually flicked the lamp on the table to the floor and made a loud thud. Baiya stopped and looked at Wang Donner in surprise. Are you trying to hypnotize me? Wang Donner already knew what was going on. We're kindred spirits. Let's just have a chat. Your family is from a scholarly family? Baiya guessed. My mother is a doctor and my father is a teacher. They were both killed in a burglary case. My sister and I were raised by my grandmother. Our family conditions weren't good, so my sister went out to work, Wang Donner said casually. The culprits who killed your parents have been caught, right? Baiya said with certainty. A year after my sister went out to work, the 2 robbers were killed by a car when they were trying to escape, Wang Donner said coldly. So you don't believe the police and want to use your ability to avenge your sister? Baiya guessed. Wang Donner laughed. You're tricking me. It's just a normal analysis. You know what I mean? Wang Dong leaned back in her chair lazily. Then let me analyze you. You. Wang Donner looked at Baiya from head to toe, and her gaze landed on Baiya's broken finger. Baiya subconsciously put his hand under the table. You have a man you love very much. This man doesn't love you. You're in a lot of pain, Wang Donner guessed. Baiya laughed. You were raped by your uncle. Wang Donner looked at Baiya in surprise. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. How did you know? No one knows about this, not even my boyfriend. You cherished your sister's feelings too much. You didn't receive any consolation from other relatives. You originally studied psychology, but because of the trauma, you started to give up on yourself. That was until you found your sister's body and the diary. You started your year-long deployment, Baiya guessed. Yes, I took some videos. If not for the fact that there were no ghosts, would they have been scared to death? Wang Dong mocked. Her eyes were filled with disdain. You've seen your sister's days, right? She keeps repeating that she wants Dong, or to be well. She calls those people bad people. If your sister knew what you've done, would she call you that? Baiya asked. My sister will be proud of me. Even though your sister was abused, she had a kind and gentle heart. She wanted to use her meager strength to save the 2 children. That's why they deserve to die even more. They didn't even spare a kind person like my sister. Do they even have a conscience? They injected a vesicant into her when she was still alive. They wanted my sister to die, Wang Donger said hatefully. They were wrong. Do you think you did the right thing? Your sister said that she wanted to worship her parents with you. She wanted to be filial to her grandmother with you. She wanted to help other children like you. Xiong Jiqing's child is 7 years old. He's the same age as you. Xiong Jiqing deserved it. He was the one who injected the vesicant into my sister. Wang Donner was agitated. What about a 7-year-old child? Baya asked. He doesn't deserve to have a child, Wang Donner said coldly. But he's already a 7-year-old child. Xiong Jiqing paid the price for his actions. What about you? Are you going to continue to struggle in the mud and let your sister down? Or are you going to bear the responsibility? I know you wanted to let Xiong Chang'an go on purpose. That's because Xiong Chang'an treated your sister well. Your sister said in the diary that he was a good person. However, he was under too much pressure and chose to commit suicide. Am I right? Baya asked seriously. Wang Donner's eyes turned red. Xiong Chang'an liked my sister. He was the first one who came to me to repent. I asked him to report me, but he didn't dare to. He was a coward. Even if he committed suicide, my sister wouldn't forgive him. Your sister will forgive him because she's kind. Baya lowered her eyes and paused for 3 seconds. Wang Donner, you've committed the crime of using a terrorist video to kill someone. Everything you've said can be used as evidence in court. I believe the court will make a clear judgment. You tricked me? Wang Donner looked at Baya anxiously. I'm telling the truth. Since you've planned this for a year, and even dragged your boyfriend down with you, you don't intend to let them go. They must die. That's because they deserve to die. They're mentally strong. If they're scared to death, it means that they're repentant towards your sister. Why did you? They didn't have any repentance at all. I was the one who drugged them. The powder entered their brains through the smell and glowed after 2 hours. The forensics department couldn't detect it at all. Wang Donner said impulsively. Yes. Leng Qiuzuan couldn't help but praise her. He crossed his arms and looked at Baya with admiration. I didn't expect her to be not only beautiful but also smart. She's able to use her mind freely. No wonder she's so famous at such a young age. Well done. Gu Lingqing turned off the surveillance. The screen was black. Leng Qiuzuan frowned and looked at Gu Lingqing. What are you doing? The case has been exposed. Next it's our job. Are you going? Gu Lingqing said coldly. Of course. Wang Donner said that the man Baya loved didn't love her. I think she was talking about Su Jieran, the man she loved. Haha. Leng Qiuzuan said these 4 words with deep meaning, full of provocation. You're thinking too much. If they loved each other, they wouldn't have gotten a divorce. He walked out coldly. Leng Qiuzuan followed behind him unhappily. He imagined the scene of Gu Lingqing being beaten up by him. Just thinking about it made him feel better. Half an hour later, the ambulance arrived. They carried Leng Qiuzuan onto a stretcher and sent him to the hospital. Baya came out of the interrogation room. Seeing that Gu Lingqing wasn't around, she went back first and booked a train ticket back to City A. She was packing her luggage at the hotel. Knock, knock, knock. Someone knocked on the door. She looked through the peephole. It was Gu Lingqing. She opened the door and looked at her calmly. Gu Lingqing handed the 99 roses to her. They say that all girls like roses. Thank you. Baya took it and placed it on the table. Chapter 185. Baya widened her eyes and stared at Gu Lingqing. Her mind went blank for a moment, but she quickly calmed down. If you want to date me officially because you're worried that I'll feel wronged, then you don't have to. I'll only feel more wronged if I date you, Baya said bluntly and put the folded clothes into the luggage. What do you mean by more wronged? Gu Lingqing frowned. Do you think I'm not qualified to be your boyfriend? Baya didn't even look at Gu Lingqing. She zipped up the luggage and put it upright. She looked at Gu Lingqing seriously. The premise of dating is that we like each other. Do you think we like each other? Gu Lingqing pursed his lips tightly. His face was pale, and he looked at her deeply. His aura changed according to his mood. Baya carried the luggage and walked towards the door. Gu Lingqing held her arm and looked at her. I think we like each other. Baya's heart skipped a beat. She looked at him and sized up his expression. I don't want to date. If I want to, we'll just get married. You can't get a divorce in a military marriage. Do you dare? Gu Lingqing paused. Baiya smiled. Her eyes were full of sarcasm. She turned around and faced Gu Lingqing. I don't have time to waste my youth. It's too dangerous to be in a relationship with the general. I don't have the confidence to walk to the end. Either we get married and I'll be with you for the rest of my life. You don't have to answer me immediately. I'll give you a month to think about it carefully before you decide. There's no medicine for regret in this world. She pushed his hand away, opened the door and walked out. Her eyes were dark and misty, reflecting the sunlight. Baiya was mentally and physically exhausted. She couldn't afford to play any games of love. She couldn't bear any tragic ending. If she dated Gu Lingqing and was found out by Song Shiyu and Gu Tianhang, she would definitely die. Or she could cut ties with Gu Lingqing and start a new life. Otherwise, she could directly become Gu Lingqing's wife. What was done could not be undone. With her identity as the wife of the chief, Song Shiyu and Gu Tianhang would not be able to hurt her. The deepest part of her heart hid the most hysterical love for Gu Lingqing. She chose to compromise and give herself one last chance. Regardless of whether he was responsible for her or had other motives, as long as he agreed to marry her, she would spend the rest of her life as a confession of love. However, she felt so wronged, so sullen, and so afraid. She was afraid that she wouldn't have the courage to continue living after being mercilessly hurt. She was also afraid that accompanying her would become a mutual injury. The memory of the past was like a knife cutting her heart. Gu Lingqing's Hailan, I miss you so much, was more painful than killing her. If it was the same after marriage, the person she loved someone else, she could persist in this kind of marriage. She was so conflicted. She couldn't figure it out, so she got stuck in a dead end, and her thoughts started to get confused. Baiya's remaining rationality found something wrong. She quickly took out a white plastic bottle from her bag, looked at the label, and poured out a small black pill with trembling hands. She threw it into her mouth and dragged her suitcase into the corridor. She leaned against the wall, clenched her fists, and slowly calmed herself down. A minute later, she opened her eyes, and the confusion in her eyes gradually became clear. There was a limit to human feelings. After being hurt, the heart would hurt, and the body would produce a lot of toxic substances, eroding the nerves and cells. The pain caused by this kind of feeling would not heal like a knife wound. In fact, it was very difficult to heal. When the pain reached a certain level, people would protect themselves and become mentally deranged. The most common was schizophrenia. Most patients indulged in hallucinations and delusions, which manifested in smashing things, hurting people, destroying things, indifference to feelings, and detachment from real life. Her mother was like this. She had been schizophrenic for a long time. Depression, obsessive-compulsive disorder, anxiety disorder, insomnia, anorexia, phobia, autism, personality disorder, and dementia all happened together. She didn't want to be like her mother and become schizophrenic. If that was the case, she would rather die. After adjusting her emotions, Baiya came out of the corridor. Although doctors couldn't cure themselves, she knew a way to think about happy things, divert attention, find new joy in life, and so on. Baiya came out of the elevator and saw Gu Lingqing sitting on the sofa in the lounge area. She went to check out. Gu Lingqing took her luggage. Baiya looked at him, and he put her luggage in his car. Baiya checked out and walked over. Gu Lingqing opened the door of the front passenger seat. I'll send you to the train station. Okay. Baiya nodded and sat in the front passenger seat calmly. Gu Lingqing drove, looked ahead and said, I found the murderer, but this matter can't be made public. I have to stay to deal with the aftermath. The dead are gone, and the living have to live. I have to do a good job of making up for it secretly. As long as you have a clear conscience. Baiya sighed and said, I didn't believe in fate in the past. I thought that the future was in my own hands. As long as I worked hard, as long as I persevered, as long as I moved towards my goal, I would always get what I deserved. In fact, sometimes there will be something in life. Didn't you say that you have a clear conscience? If you don't work hard, how can you have a clear conscience? Gu Lingqing said meaningfully, glancing at Baiya's fair and delicate face. She wasn't impetuous. She was very beautiful, but she was also dignified and elegant. She was the kind of person who looked more and more beautiful at first glance. I saw a news yesterday. It was about a 19-year-old girl who fell into the river because she broke up with her boyfriend. A boy jumped in and saved her. She was rescued, but the boy was washed away by the water and died because he was too weak. Isn't this fate? Baya said with some sadness. Gu Lingqing held her hand and put it on his lap. His palm was very warm, but hers was very cold. When I was helpless in life, I met Su Jieran. He helped me find a job and brought my mother out of the mental hospital. After getting my mother out of the mental hospital, I thought my life would get better. Only now did I know that Su Jieran and I knew each other because of a planned conspiracy. You saved me from the fire pit. I thought that I found happiness. For this happiness, I was willing to give up everything. Fate played a joke on me again. You lost your memory. Baya looked at Gu Lingqing, and tears rolled down her cheeks. Gu Lingqing held Baya's hand tightly and frowned. I'll marry you. After I'm done with my work, we'll get married when we go back. Baya smiled, and the corners of her lips curled up. She looked at him gently and smoothed his brows with her thumb. You're always like this. Responsibility is everything to you. Because you feel that you owe me for losing your memory, you want to make it up to me. Gu Lingqing, I don't need it. Go and live the life you want. Don't be burdened by responsibility and memories. I can actually live a better life alone. Chapter 186. Gu Lingqing, let's let each other go, Baya said softly. Gu Lingqing pulled over and stopped the car. He was a little annoyed. You're the one who said we're going to get married, but you're the one who wants to let each other go. What do you want? Can I do whatever I want? Baya asked. Gu Lingqing was also impatient. He said firmly, yes, what do you want? Let's do it. Let's let each other go. Okay, he said straightforwardly. He looked ahead and started the car. Baya knew that what he said was true. However, she didn't regret it, because she saw him frown. He said that he would marry her, but he didn't mean it. So be it. Gu Lingqing sent her to the train station and watched her walk in. His eyes were as dark as ink. He took out a cigarette from the storage box, lit it, took a deep breath, and exhaled thick smoke. The smoke enchanted his strong facial features. Half an hour later, he made a call to Lieutenant Colonel Song. Go to the Psychology Institute and issue an official document. I need a psychologist to test the psychological quality of the soldiers, to the extent of the darkness of the soldiers' psychology, and specify that I want Baya. Okay, I'll go to the relevant departments to communicate the agreement now. Gu Lingqing hung up the phone, threw the phone into the passenger seat, and drove away from the train station. After Baya returned to City A, she wanted to have a good sleep in the hotel, but Lu Shuang called. Baya, when will you come back? I miss you so much. Baya smiled. I think we really have a telepathic connection. I just returned to City A and stayed in the hotel. That's great. Let's have dinner together tonight. Let me tell you, the man on the blind date last time was also unreliable. He dumped me again. Tell me, am I so bad? No one wants to date me? Lu Shuang was a little depressed. I'll treat you tonight. Let's go to the U mansion that we used to go to. That U manor has been closed for 2 years. Oh really? For some reason, Baya felt a little sad when she heard this. She remembered that the fish mansion's business was very good. The boss was very enthusiastic and the food was delicious. That's right. In the past 2 years, takeout has become the norm. Many people order at home. His apartment is so big, and the rent is too high. He can't do it anymore. I know a good restaurant in a scenic area. There's even a 4A women's club there. I wanted to go, but I didn't want to be alone. You can accompany me. It's my treat. Lu Shuang explained. A women's club? Baya thought of Su Shaoling. The men there are not clean. Don't touch them. Am I stupid? Spending money to find a man? It's not like I have too much money to spend. I'm just going there to broaden my horizons. Going to a spa or something isn't a problem. Okay, I live in a Sheraton near a university. Call me when you arrive. Half an hour later, Lu Shuang arrived. Baya was quite surprised. It takes an hour to get here from the military. You're too fast. Hee, Tiger is not at home. There's not much work. I'm on leave tomorrow, so I came out earlier today. When I called you, you were already driving. Let's go. I'll take you to eat fish. Lu Shuang said with a smile. Baya got into Lu Shuang's car and fastened her seatbelt. What's the Mu Xiaoxing you mentioned? Lu Shuang asked. He's very charming. He's like a wild crane and has many women who like him. He's a vagabond who had a short marriage. He's probably a good bachelor who won't settle down until he's 40. What's wrong? Don't tell me you're interested in him. Baya was worried. She looked at Lu Shuang. I'm in a hurry. If it was 4 years ago, I would be young and invincible. But now, I'm almost 30. I'm not in a hurry, but my parents are. Every time I go home, I have to listen to their nagging. I'm so tired of eating. Lu Shuang sighed. You're only 27 this year. There's still 3 years before you're 30. Don't be in a hurry, Baya suggested. I wasn't in a hurry before. I wanted to find someone, date for 2 years, get married, and settle down. But according to the number of times I've been dumped, I think I'll still be single when I'm 30. What kind of women do men like nowadays? I'm speechless. Lu Shuang was annoyed. I think they would like someone like you. You're bright and cheerful. You're generous, filial, kind, and have a good figure. Plus, you're beautiful. You shouldn't be single. Baya was also curious. Right? I'm also financially independent. I don't need men's money. I can pay for the house with them. Those men are blind. Lu Shuang shrugged. I'll go on a blind date show. I'll cast my net and catch the fish. There will be. Oh, I think I saw Shanian last time. He was at the place where you attended the blind date show. Baya couldn't remember clearly. What was he doing here? Did he have nothing better to do than flirt with the girls in the military? Lu Shuang was unhappy when he mentioned him. Did you guys keep in touch after last time? Baya asked casually. What's there to keep in touch with? My first time was ruined by him. He was reckless and almost killed me. If I didn't know he was also drugged, I wouldn't have let him go. If I were still a virgin, I might be worth more money. Don't talk about him. It's annoying. Lu Shuang sped up. Half an hour later, they arrived at the hotel in the scenic area. When they arrived, it was already past dinner time. The hotel didn't have supper, so it was closed. Let's go. There's food in the women's club. Lu Shuang pulled Baya over. Only members could enter the women's club. While Lu Shuang was working, Baya went to the washroom. Have you heard? That Tony is already dead. His body was split into 8 pieces. The murderer is very vicious. He even cut off his penis and stuffed it into his mouth. Then he threw it into the public toilet, a woman said. That's horrible. What a pity. Tony is good-looking and has a good figure. I heard that his skills are excellent too. Only Diamond members can use them, another woman said. Do you know Mu Xiaoxing? Baya was about to leave, but when she heard Mu Xiaoxing's name, she looked at the woman who spoke. He said that Tony's woman might be the murderer. Before the murderer could be brought to the police station, he was taken away by someone. I was there when he was taken away. Baya frowned. The Mu Xiaoxing you're talking about, is he the psychologist Mu Xiaoxing? Yes. A Diamond member must be someone important. Moreover, the information of Diamond members is hidden. I think he's in trouble this time. Baya quickly called Gu Lingqing. She knew those people's methods too well. Mu Xiaoxing had offended someone. Gu Lingqing answered the phone and said in a strange tone, You're not going to let yourself go so soon. You're tuning in to the Echoes of the Heart YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.